Hey everyone, you're listening to the official podcast of 4playernetwork.com. Check us out at that address for everything you need to know about our community, monthly giveaways, and nightly live streams. You can even support us on Patreon at patreon.com/4player. And last but not least, you can catch the live recordings of these podcasts every single Thursday night on our Twitch channel. We hope to see you there. Enjoy.
Please, I agree. Can we just do the show?
Oh my god. Hey everyone, welcome to 4Player Podcast. This is episode 545. I'm your host, Nick Henderson. We have a full couch. We have more than
Nice.
Overflowing.
Full
The
couch.
pigeonholes on this couch are ridiculous.
Many
pigeonholes.
I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means either.
Oh, come on, guys. It's math.
Anyway, sorry, let's go.
It's the pigeonhole principle.
Joining us this evening, our special guest, all the way from North Carolina, Ed Mitchell's joining us.
Hello.
He's our resident podcaster, broadcaster, and web developer. Thank you for joining us tonight, Ed.
Thank you for having me.
It's lovely that you're here in Austin, Texas.
Yeah,
What do you think of Austin?
It's beautiful. I got really drunk last night, and tonight I'm not drunk, but
Yeah, give it time.
Yeah.
Give it
Drunk
time.
on friendship.
Yeah.
Also joining us, Christopher Guthridge.
Hey, what's going
On.
How you guys doing? I'm sorry. I was thinking about the question I was going to ambush you guys with. So we've got our entire web development team over here on the couch, and I have a question about the website.
okay.
Oh, God.
It's gonna be good.
How come on the
I'm gonna let you
front
take this
page
one.
there's no button that just takes you right to the live feed?
Chris Davis.
There used to be.
Audacity on that.
Why would you do this to me? Like on the
There used to be.
There was at one point, guys. Okay, I need to talk to you about that after the show, Ed.
There used to be one that like showed up when we went
Keep
live,
going.
and it would like
Yeah, there was.
Yes.
I've never seen that button.
First of all-
I have seen it, but I haven't seen it in a long time.
First of all, you just ruined this podcast.
Nick's now gonna be thinking about the entire time.
I'm sorry,
No. You don't understand.
it's
Like,
something that's been bothering me.
it's been bothering me too, and I need to talk to Ed about this.
Okay, you
I
guys,
tried to do a
is it
quick
something
read
not work or
yesterday and I
something?
couldn't figure out how.
you guys should
I
have a
think
little
Nick broke
developer
it.
meeting after
I did
the
break it.
podcast.
I did break it. I hate you, Crispy. Brad Simons is joining us,
Oh, yeah.
and you make jokes about the quick read, Brad. But we got 2 submissions this week.
No shit.
Yes, we got 2.
2 quick, and I'm gonna get them both
Holy
up this
shit.
weekend.
Wow.
So you know what? Welcome back, and fuck you too. Just kidding.
I like Reborn.
I'm back. Hey, guys, I'm back.
Yeah, this is actually a momentous occasion for more than one reason tonight. Brad is officially back
Momentous.
from hiatus.
I probably wouldn't have used momentous.
Officially
but thank you,
special
Nick.
guest on the podcast again.
Yeah. Brad is back.
The 4th chair's back.
I will say this: there will be a couple days in the coming month where I think you only be on like the first half of the show, but you will be on every show. It seems like for the foreseeable future. So,
Yes.
welcome back, Brad. It's
Yo.
good. It's good to have you. I hope you've been
Thanks.
playing some stuff.
No.
And and Nolan. Nolan is joining us this evening.
Saving the best for last.
Whatever you have to tell yourself to sleep at night. Okay.
I don't have to tell myself anything. I just go to sleep
Oh. Okay. Well.
because I'm a normal person.
He's a sleepy bitch.
I guess that's why I'm drinking Rockstar.
All right. We actually got a lot to cover tonight. We had a bit of a show last week. We're gonna read some feedback from that in a minute. But before we do that, let's catch up with some people. I know there's a few people here itching to talk about some movies they've seen. I guess you want to talk
What,
about.
did anybody see Ready Player One besides Nolan and me?
No.
I have not.
Nobody
yet, no.
went and saw Ready Player One
I saw Black Panther like last week, so
Oh,
that's
for the
finally.
first time.
yeah.
Welcome to February.
That's timely,
Really
Ed.
timely.
Whenever that came out.
Katie really liked it, and which means that I might convince her to watch more Marvel movies.
It's fucking
Is that
dope.
like her first one?
Not really, but it's our first.
Why'd
one.
you
First one
marry
she liked
her?
was
really
she watched
lukewarm
like
on them
she's
until-
watched like Iron Man, and we've watched the Avengers together. But that's pretty much it.
Dude.
Yeah.
Dude.
So Ready Player One.
Yep.
Hold on, Reborn. Why could someone not pay you to watch that movie? It's
Dude,
a fucking Steven Spielberg movie.
I totally get where she's coming from, though. I
It's a
was
Steven
not expecting
Spielberg
to
movie.
like that movie at all. It's okay. The subject matter and like the source material is kind of garbage.
So hold on, Crispy,
but-
hold on. Let's talk about that real quick because I did read the book a couple times. I read it once when it first came out.
Yeah.
I revisited it when the movie was announced and stuff.
Sure.
So if you were to draw a Venn diagram, if everyone out there
he's
knows,
busting
you've all
out
been to
Venn-
school. The slice in the middle that's kind of like a vagina, that part between the book and the movie would be about 10% of the book.
I know. I understand
And
that, and I think
that
the
is
movie
the
all
only
the
reason
better
the
for
movie's
it.
kind of good.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
because they took the names and the premise and they pretty much threw almost everything else away.
Yeah.
There's one big problem I have with the movie. Is the biggest problem I personally have is there's no sense of time. So the thing is, in the book, it spans like multiple years. Like, no, years.
And in the movie, it feels
like 4 days, which makes it really awkward because he meets someone and falls in love. And when he meets her in person for the first time, he starts like touching her face.
God, yeah.
And I was like, ugh, no, that's
Yeah.
awkward. Like, you wouldn't just fucking do that to someone you just met? Like, on her, like,
the whole storyline with him and Artemis is like terrible. It's the
It's-
worst
it's
part of that
horrible.
movie.
Yeah.
And Artemis, like that is like the most unearned, unsatisfying romance I've
It's
ever
pretty
seen in
bad.
a movie. It's
Can I
really
ask
Wow.
a question?
It's pretty bad.
I don't know much about it, but I do know the main dude.
Yep.
yeah.
He like grew up doing a lot of like respectable like indie films and like
Brad,
films
you're
with,
not
like,
talking into your mic.
with like all tours and stuff. Like this is like I think like his first big like blockbustery type film.
Wait.
Sure.
Oh, you're talking about the main actor?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
I think I saw him in something recently.
He's
that
he's
wasn't
been in a
indie
couple
movie.
other things.
Well, yeah.
the
But
fuck was
when he
he?
was younger, he just kind of did like like respectable films.
Okay.
And
So
my
you're saying,
question
hold
is,
on, Brad. You're
does
saying a
this guy
Steven
has, like, a-
Spielberg film is not a respectable film?
Are you saying does he have
Well,
star power? Is he like
Yeah,
on the up and up?
yeah. How was he? Do you think he has star power?
Oh!
Does he have a future?
He was Cyclops, in the new
Cyclops,
X-Men
yeah.
movie.
Oh,
That's
I
true.
didn't watch that.
I think I
Brad
kind
doesn't
of
watch
think
trash.
his CG avatar is more charismatic than he is.
Well, the
But
problem is you see a
I get
lot
that's
more
kind
of
of
it.
the point, but like, wait. The problem is that character in that movie is just kind of like a nothing. Like he's just he's the guy who's there to do the things, you know. So that's the only thing I've really seen him in. So I can't really judge the actor.
He was in
based on
Mud,
that.
but he was also like 12 in that movie.
yeah, yeah, and that was only a couple.
Oh,
years
real
ago.
quick, just
Shit.
real quick interruption. I forgot to mention this, Dad, before we started. I don't know if your phone's in airplane mode.
Killing
It
of
probably
Sacred
should
Yeah, just put it in.
because
Tree
the
of Life.
microphone's to pick up.
Oh, he
sound.
was in Killing of a Sacred Deer.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that.
Anyway, so
Um,
going back to the movie, overall, it was okay.
It was, it was.
I wanna
it was,
see it now.
So I was like poised against the movie. I went and watched it, and like by the time I got out of it, I was like, you know what, that was pretty good. It's definitely
So-
not top tier Spielberg, but I mean,
it's not.
Spielberg's tiers are so crazy anyway that
Yeah.
like even his second tier is better than most directors' first tier.
I liked it
because
better
that
than
second
AI.
tier, Nick. That second tier definitely includes Jurassic Park. Okay.
Hey, first of all, I feel like personally attacked right now.
You should.
Well, so like,
Go fuck
where's Munich? That's like a third
Munich,
tier, right?
What? Munich's good.
It's like second tier. I'd
Yeah,
say.
Munich's second.
really good.
I-
Yeah.
no, I
But
like
it's definitely from that like later part of his career where he's really only interested in like mid-century topics that appeal to baby boomers kind of thing.
All right,
Sure.
real quick.
I
What
like
is the
AI.
first tier then exactly?
Schindler's List.
Schindler's List is probably like, and Jaws are probably like
Jaws.
the ones that are really up there. Jurassic Park is a fantastic film. Don't get me wrong, but Jaws is better and Munich's better, and Schindler's List is better than both of those.
E.T.
Prince, I'll say no to that. I don't know if Crispy knows, but anyway. So going back to the movie.
Saving Private
So
Ryan.
one of the things I kind of wanted to happen is, Crispy, you haven't read the book, but there's a scene in the book where they talk about some of the characters, and the ship they primarily fly in is the Bebop.
Yeah,
And I was like, it's the fucking
but it's not in the movie
But
except for that one.
The
little...
swordfish is in
Yeah,
there, and I was like,
Yeah, you
I
can't
like.
play that game with this movie because every fucking frame is just like
Oh yeah, I know.
10
Is it
references.
all
and
bullshit?
it's-
Well, like in
Well,
the
yeah, it is
trailer,
all
it's like,
bullshit,
you
yeah.
see like Chucky flying through the air.
Yeah.
Is he just
Yeah.
one moment just flying through the
No,
air?
He's
that's
actually that one's not much of a
That
spoiler, but
moment's
he's
like
literally
3
like
moments.
a weapon that they pull out, and they're like, "Oh, we got this," and they just throw
Brad
Chucky
Dourif.
at the
Like-
bad guys,
like, are
and
we
he
talking
starts
like-
like stabbing
I
them.
mean, like
voice?
Chucky, like from Child's Play.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, like the doll Chucky.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, for all of that, like kind of like place setting and like hiding little Easter eggs, like it was kind of fun, but like that really wears out. And
It does.
I think that the second half of the movie is better than the first half of the movie because by the time you get to the second half, they're kind of just like done with that, and it's just like there. And I think that's part of what maybe makes the movie a little better than the book is that in the book he has to sit there and like nerdgasm over every little reference and explain them all. In the
Yeah.
movie, things can just like
They
be
just
on the
happen.
screen, and you're like, oh, Battletoads, Iron giant. You know, like you can just sit there and like you don't like the movie doesn't have to waste any time with it. You know,
Well, Crispy, I will say that in the book, the main character was kind of an asshole.
dude, he's definitely an asshole. He's kind of an asshole in the movie too.
But the thing is, I will say the book revolves around the main character, whereas the movie revolves around everyone. And that's what I think made it also better.
I think that was a good choice. And I think another good choice, too, was making the hunt for, like, the keys more about, like, using Halliday's life to, like, like discover the secrets than
rather
it was
than
just like,
video game.
Halliday was really into this video game. You just need to know everything about that video game.
You know what the weirdest fucking part about this movie was? And every time it happened, I was like... The bad guy's name is Nolan. Yeah. And every time they said his name, I was like, what the fuck?
You don't see that name a lot.
No, you don't. So anytime I hear it, usually 99% of the time, someone's talking to me.
They actually did some new technology for the movie that you always hear your own name.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
The bad guy's name.
Wait, the movie, the villain's name was Nick. What are you talking about?
So like every time, like they're like just having asides, they're like, Nolan, come on. And I'm like,
but like,
what?
I think the whole like shtick of the movie kind of being like, oh, there's all these pop culture icons, like really you're kind of like, I was over it after like 5 minutes, but there were 2 points in the movie where like they did something
They gotcha
that I was like, yeah, okay. And unfortunately I can't really talk about either of them because they're both like set piece moments. They're actually
I know
part
one.
of the plot.
I know one.
Well, okay.
No.
I know.
The whole second challenge was like,
what was the other
that's
one?
awesome. The other one was the big set piece battle at the end of the movie.
Okay, sure.
The like Daiko,
Okay,
when he joins the fight.
Got it. Oh, that was great.
Oh my god! Like when that happened, I was kind of like, "Fuck you, Steven Spielberg, for making me like this."
Right? Don't you want like? Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, we'll talk about it later. But anyway.
Wow.
Also, the other thing too, I didn't realize, but like one of the more like obscure references, Daiko, his
Daito.
Daito, yeah, I thought it was K. But his in-game character is a samurai, and the face of his in-game character is actually Toshiro Mifune.
Yeah.
Like I didn't realize that until I was like looking at pictures after the fact, but I was like, that is actually kind of cool.
All right.
But that's definitely more of a Steven Spielberg thing.
Yeah. So I do want to see that movie. The next movie I'm seeing actually is A Quiet Place. I'm seeing that on Tuesday.
And that's really fucking good
I am
reviews.
so excited to watch that
I heard
movie.
like 4 or 5 commercials just this week on the Quiet
Oh
Place.
man,
No, you didn't, Nolan.
Ooh, you should watch that or watch trailers for that. It looks so good, and I've heard it's really great. But yeah, I'm seeing that on Tuesday, so I'll probably talk a little bit about that next week.
Cool.
Any,
Crispy, did you see Isle of Dogs?
Not yet.
I really want to fucking see that.
that
I haven't gotten
shocks
through
me
yet.
that you haven't seen Isle of Dogs yet.
Well, it's also limited release is the thing. There's only a couple places in Austin you can go see it,
couldn't
first
get
of all.
people to like go to it, but
Maybe your people are bad people.
they're bad people. Well, it's
Confirmed.
more of a scheduling thing.
Wait, I also... never mind. That's fine. I'm good.
Also-
If y'all want to
Binge?
talk more about Ready Player One, maybe we can do a pop.
No, I
podcast
wanted
for
to talk about something else. But anyway, let's move on. I think that's all.
We need to get to feedback. So, Chris Davis, if you would please. Of course, we do react. We do respond to y'all's feedback every week. If you have any thoughts or anything about what we talk about on the show, please leave us a comment at 4playernetwork.com, and we will read it at the beginning of the next show. Our first so we had a bit of a show last week.
I thought we had an amazing show.
I'm not saying the content. I fully am. We had a great show last week.
Yep,
Nolan,
it was good. Yep.
They just got a little passionate, but you know, we talked about Sea of Thieves, talked about Far Cry 5, so people had some thoughts. In fact, I don't think we've ever had this much feedback, so I may not get to read all of it.
Can I ask my quick question before we start all this feedback about all this stuff?
This is Brad's feedback.
When are we going to stop having like heated, controversial, game conversations on
Never.
the podcast, and then like after that conversation, just nobody plays it ever again? I feel like that has happened several times on this show.
Yeah, probably.
Well, I think sometimes...
And it's so frustrating because I want to hear, but what is he going to think, 40 hours in?
Okay.
It never happens.
I don't know, like
That's not always true.
if you're referencing specifically last week's episode, when we're talking about Sea of Thieves, my position, I was engaging with that subject purely like as a subject, as like an academic subject, not really as a game that I want to necessarily run out and play. I was just thought that was an important point that kind of applied more to game development as a whole going forward.
And you know what? Last week Nolan had not touched it. This week he has played about 10 hours.
That's
of it.
good.
Yep.
That's good. I just remember, certain
Brad,
games
I will say
like Mass Effect
the
and
reason
No Man's Sky.
I did play it is because of that
well,
conversation.
I played a bunch of No Man's Sky after the fact. It didn't.
But
talk
no, that's what I
about
mean.
it.
Like much later, I'm
Because-
saying like whatever.
Well, Brad, you can be.
I'm just glad
you
Nolan
can be the
played it.
swift hand of change here.
I'm not playing.
All right, let's get to this feedback. Scarecrow says, and keep in mind, guys, I might paraphrase some of this because some of you guys left paragraphs of feedback. We do appreciate.
Why didn't y'all write like quick reads?
Okay, first of all, I do appreciate every comment we get, and I read every single comment word for word, even if I don't necessarily read every word on the podcast. So, he says, first of all, discussions last week were great and enthusiastic. Great job. And he goes on to say, one question this week focused on Prey and about its combat, feeling a lot more free form rather than focusing on stealth like other games of its type. My thought is this has a lot to do with the enemy types in the game. In Dishonored and Deus Ex, you're largely fighting against humans and that react like humans, guards and so forth. They'll call to their allies for backup and go into alert mode for some sort. I think the fact that you're fighting animal-like aliens and prey loosens the idea of getting caught because they're not going to announce it to everyone else in the area. It's only you versus a single enemy in front of you when you're caught.
I feel like the AI does do that though. Sometimes, like they'll run back into a room and like lure more enemies.
So
out.
it depends.
The little ones will.
Yeah.
They'll-
But-
if they find you and they're not like
but
attacking
but the
you, they'll
difference
run away.
is in Prey, you can still have someone like a room over who won't join in on the fight unless, you know what I'm saying, versus like something like Deus Ex or Dishonored where just everyone in fucking this
Right.
huge area will then automatically know.
That's true.
And that's actually something I want to talk about with Far Cry 5, but we'll get to that
That's
in
why
the
Prey's
discussion.
dope.
But yeah,
Right?
you do make a very good point. He also goes on to say, again, paraphrasing a little bit here, he says, Prey takes inspiration from the Shock games in general, and those games capture the similar gameplay style as well, despite having a lot more enemies.
That's the thing, and that's a big thing in BioShock. If you are fighting an enemy, they don't necessarily like either run away or even like if you're fighting with a shotgun, you don't get like swarms of enemies coming at you. You pretty much are focused.
It's very
to-
localized
Yeah.
to the fight. Yeah.
Correct. All right, let's move on down. Chris Davis, you can scroll down a little bit to the next one.
Also play Fear.
Jesus Christ. Oh, man. Mr. Green Toast. All right. Whoo! Yeah, I don't. So this might be a little bit hard to address just because there's so many things. But he says, as someone who spent 30 plus hours in Sea of Thieves and enjoyed it immensely, I was not offended by the comments from the discussion over the lack of content. I agree a lot on Rare needing to add a great more deal of value to the game at $60, but I wanted to share some unique things from the game that was left out of the good segment of the discussion, since a lot of it is found either by higher rank tier quest missions or just found throughout the world.
So
at
hold
random.
on. Before we get to his very long list and that very appreciated
I was
list.
actually thinking about maybe telling people if they.
Well, no, but hold on. The reason I want to say maybe we don't focus on some of them is because a lot of the game that I played over the past week was with Mr. Greentoes.
Okay.
And so I did get to play it with him. And
talk to him, I'm assuming.
Yeah. And so just reading through a bunch of his stuff real quick, just briefly, I think I'm probably going to touch on most of these.
Okay.
So Mr. Greentoes, I'm sorry. I want to skip this for now. I will say that anybody who wants to read his entire list, please go in there. But like just to mention a few things, he talks about skeleton enemies. He talks about treasure hunts,
the seagulls
hidden
that
islands,
circle.
seagulls that circle over like either the barrels or sunken ships.
Hey,
Flock
Chris,
of birds.
Click that link button on the bottom.
The skull appearing
And
above
then
the
send it in
clouds that
chat.
lets you know there's like a fort. But yeah, so I would say
Copy the link at the top.
yeah, I would say go check out his comment. But a lot of that stuff I'm actually going to talk about tonight. So yeah, I would say stay tuned and listen to my comments. Hopefully, Mr. Greentoast, I will do you justice.
Cool. Yeah, but and like you said, you can find his full comment on the post for episode 544. All right, scroll down just a little bit more. Chris Davis, please. Captain Alwyn says, even though mostly a lurker and truthfully missed some of the podcast, still was watched interesting to say the least. The Far Cry 5 discussions were very engaging and honestly thought-provoking. We'll say that some general issue I had with it were mentioned. Key example, always running into guys on the road. Case in point, I was nearly trapped in a horrible death loop, all due to a bad checkpointing while trying to finish one area. I will definitely touch on this when I'm talking about Far Cry 5 in a bit, but you're totally on point there. Sad but true fact, I have no heart to finish this game, and it's not resting on concerns or problems of the game, more the fact that the game broke me on a personal level. All around All-around Deputy Hudson. Oh dear.
So I will say, Captain Allman, I wouldn't recognize you as a lurker mainly because every time I've streamed for the past week, you've been in chat. Thank you for that. I recognize your name immediately just because you and I have had a couple of conversations while
I haven't seen him in my chat.
Because no one likes you, bro.
What is this, like a fucking personal buddy of yours, Nolan?
Yeah. I call him the captain.
Is this wait.
It's not.
I can't remember the name.
Niraj?
Niraj!
It's not Niraj, but Niraj
What's
gets
up,
another
Niraj?
mention because of Nick. But yeah, so
Every show.
Captain Allwyn, we are going to talk about that. Like Nick was saying, both him and I have played a lot more Far Cry.
I've played a lot.
So yeah, we'll be able to talk about that.
For sure. All right. Next comment, please. Nexus X says, I thought the Sea of Thieves discussion was pretty insightful and definitely a conversation worth having going forward for future titles, though I think there was a bit of a runaround trying to get your points across. That is true. Personally, when you release a game in its 1.0 state, your thoughts should be towards the current state of the game. You can revisit it later and reevaluate your opinions, which you all mentioned is difficult for you guys, but I think it's fine to get a negative first impression from your experience. That's kind of what makes it difficult to talk about this game, but we did have a very important conversation last week about it. So
going back to last week, before before I had played it, one of my main problems was I didn't think it was a 1.0. I thought it was like a 0.8. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
in my opinion, coming from a developer, I would be like, oh, I don't think that game is complete. Like, I like, even when I have releases in what I do, I have release numbers, and I'm often like, oh, even though I don't believe even the application I'm working on is 1.0. I think mine's still like 0.9 maybe.
yeah.
But I mean, yeah, that was kind of one of my big gripes going into last week. But anyway.
Haas 3000 also critiques our conversation from last week.
Bring it on.
You want me to read it? It's more about our the actual state of the conversation. Let's see.
I mean, you don't have to go into it if you don't want to. If it makes us look bad, don't
no,
read it.
hold
by all
on.
means.
I'm trying to.
Doesn't make
Okay,
us look
whereas
bad.
I
It's a
did
weird-
thoroughly enjoy these discussions, I want to remind you that developers of Sea of Thieves and Far Cry 5 have never obligated people to like either game.
That's
you
accurate.
can't obligate anybody to like your game, first of all.
Unless you have a gun.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's not the point being made.
Yeah, that is true. That's also not the point being
Okay.
made. But moving on. Far Cry 5, on the other hand, is what it is and what it's always been, regardless of the message you felt was owed to you. A Far Cry game, period. Regardless of the message you felt was owed to you, a Far Cry game, period. Bringing a film or literature-based critical discussion to this game's story or any story in the series doesn't make any sense to someone who has played these games. The developers with writers build a half-assed, sometimes intriguing contextual story to justify you killing dudes, taking outposts, driving jeeps, and collecting stuff. That's about it. While I agree with your statement,
That is what the conclusion we came to.
that is the
and
if you
that
listen-
doesn't mean that, like, just because they've set the bar so low for themselves that they are beyond reproach or criticism. I mean,
True.
If you-
nothing that we talked about last week was necessarily untrue about the game or unfair, really.
And if you found
I
yourself
mean-
like identifying with, like, especially Far Cry 3 story, and you jump into the sequel, whether you skip 4 and Primal or whatever, and you jump into a game and you expect to identify with it just like you did in that previous game, then there's nothing wrong with having that as a criticism.
yeah.
The thing,
And
I guess the best way I can summarize what I was talking about and how that, like, doesn't necessarily invalidate my criticism is that if a game is going to take advantage of certain settings and plot points to sell a game, then it has some sort of artistic reason to engage with those plot points, not just
Hold on, Crispy. Just real quick. I just want to kind of mess with something.
Gonna reseat the mic real quick. Also, just to kind of touch on what he said, I also think that a lot of the discussion we had last week also centered around not necessarily the fact, like, the criticism lodged at Far Cry 5 was not necessarily that it didn't deliver what we expect from a Far Cry game. It was that the way the game was presented to the player, the way that it was marketed, the way it was the hype, the things they used to build hype for this game very much made it seem like they were aiming to make some kind of grander statement.
This was never brought up, I don't think, on last week's podcast, but, like, it's how they initially brought it up and marketed it. what if Ubisoft just kind of bitched out about it?
Well, that's what we were saying.
I mean, I'm sure
it
they
seems like
absolutely
at
did.
some point they kind of lost their nerve.
That's
and
I mean, that's a business decision over an artistic decision, which, I mean, we are not business critics.
It's almost like they didn't want to deal with the political fallout of.
But like, I feel like the onslaught of trailers that came after that initial marketing push did suggest that it was not going to be maybe what we wanted it to be.
Yeah, but that was a very deliberate move after the discussion had already begun. Yeah. And they realized, like, oh, wait, people are actually going to think about this game? Whoa, hang on.
Yeah, well, so what I'm saying is, like, what else should they have done? Say, hey, this isn't going to be the cool thing you're
I think at some point they kind of shot themselves in the foot.
I think really what I was getting at was, if you don't want to have that kind of discussion, if you don't want to make that kind of narrative or that kind of game, which I'm not convinced they don't, because the way they tone and structure their story is one that they very much want us to take somewhat seriously.
Yeah.
The fact that we don't is kind of like a safety net for them to just slack off on writing. But you can tell the intention with the story is to be a dramatic, compelling story that either is or is not dramatic and compelling at any given moment.
Yeah.
You know? If they were really committed to that sort of tone of like, oh, we're just, doing batshit crazy stuff. I mean, look at Just Cause, you know? Yeah. Just Cause does not set their game even in a real location because they don't want to have to say anything about anything, you know? When you choose specific locations in specific contexts in the greater popular culture, you have to understand the baggage that you're taking into that. Yeah. And if you go in there and absolutely just like ignore all that baggage, I mean, that's fine. That's your right to do that. But
it doesn't exclude you from
it cheapens the product, then we have a right to criticize that.
Yeah, for sure.
All right,
but we're going to talk more about Far Cry 5 tonight. So let's move on a little bit. So this is okay. Sir Thomas Thipple. I'm just going to read his first comment because he's left several this week. I think Nolan put it best in the Sea of Thieves discussion. You want people to keep playing your game, then sell the game. I think most of us are fine with the idea that this game could be dope as fuck in a year's time, but they have to actually hook you enough to want to keep with it, and the updates. Or to keep it and the updates on your radar.
So his next comment, we don't need to go, oh my God, how much Thomas Thipple, Jesus. But I will say, I read his second one, and one of the things he had talked about was, we talked a lot about the game and its current state. And the thing is, when someone presents me with a game for $60, my assumption is the game is complete. That's just an assumption. I understand that it's 2018. Things are weird now. That's not always the case. Things can be updated easily.
The Games Pass thing was brought up too, by the way.
The games what?
The games Microsoft Game Pass.
Yeah, I know. So they were giving it out for free for 2 weeks of play, and that's what I did. I didn't pay for it, so I'm not saying that whatever. But anyway, what I want to say is it almost like, to me, everything that seemed like the delivery of this game was it was in a quote complete state. Mm-hmm. I would have preferred if they had called this game early access. I would have preferred if they would have released it in an early access model and then kept on developing, and then down the road, when it had all the stuff they keep saying they're going to have in it or whatever, then you say, hey, now it's being released.
It feels very much to me like I feel like its release would have been less divisive. It would have been smoother if they had gone that route, because you look at things like, for me specifically, I look at things like Subnautica,
sure,
where we talked about it. We all knew it was early access. We saw it was kind of, there were certain things missing. There was certain potential there. But we knew it was a ways before it actually reached that potential. And then when it finally did come out and it reached that 1.0 state, we played it and everyone fucking loved it.
So much better. Yeah.
And I feel like this could have been another case like that, but they went a different route.
Like
and I'm sure they had their reasons for going that route. And anyway. we could check in with this game in 6 months to a year and find that this game is fucking amazing, and we all really totally get into it. You'll never know.
Well, your free pass is going to be up then. So
well, I mean, but at that point, maybe it's totally worth paying
it's worth
$60 for it.
Well, I fucking hope so.
All right, let's scroll down. Like I said, there's more. Sir Thomas Thipple left a lot of feedback, so thank you for the feedback.
The feedback is the longest I've ever seen it this week.
Guys, we had a great.
We need to yell at each other more.
Yeah, so seriously, I love reading feedback. So if you have any thoughts, please leave it. Oh, well, apparently not.
Thanks, Thip.
Some people don't like it when we do that.
More general feedback.
Okay, this is the one I was thinking of, the constructive criticism. Schwigwam, I appreciate he left some constructive criticism about the show, and and said that the episode was at certain points hard to listen to. We appreciate your feedback, and that's why I said last week was a bit of a mess. But important discussions were had. So thank you very much for your criticism and your feedback. We did read them.
Yeah.
So let's move on. I think we have one. Oh my God, two more. Rich Riceball says, "Hey guys from Iowa City. Last week's podcast was great. Without criticism and discussion, we can't expect improvement." That is true. So yeah, we'll yell at each other more. Confirmed. KN Cito, last bit of feedback tonight, says, "Nothing has ever made me go from 0% interested to 110% interested until I heard about the intro to Ni no Kuni 2. I need to see this for myself, and an easygoing RPG is something I can go for right now. By the way, I'm from a town outside Chicago."
I'm going to say this, though. I have not started playing myself, but I've been following this game very closely. I do have it, and I am very interested in starting it. I did watch the first 15 minutes that was up on YouTube, and I was on the 3-minute mark, and there were already non-voice acted lines.
Yeah.
That's so embarrassing.
So hold on,
budget.
Brett. I will say that is one of my biggest disappointments in Ni no Kuni 2 is the ratio of voice acting to not voice acting. It is pretty drastic, and I do agree that I wish there was more voice acting.
What's up with that? That's
you
weird.
probably nailed
Brett,
it.
it saves a lot of money.
Dude, this
I
game may
know,
not
but
have
there
even-
are more. There are plenty of. There's
I know,
3DS RPGs with more voice acting.
That is totally true, but you got to realize from a business perspective, they may have said we can either make the game and cut out some of the voice acting to make it happen from our personal business standpoint, because this is what we are willing to pay for the game, and they're it's either going to have little voice acting or it's not going to happen at all.
You also do realize that when you come out with a game that's voice acted like that, you're not paying 12 voice actors for the game.
Yeah.
You're paying those another 12 for the other language and another 12 for, because you can't just do Japanese and English. They'll do German, they'll do French, they'll do Spanish, they do all the main languages, and that means you need to have a fucking voice actor for each of those.
I think
and that adds up pretty fucking
There's also a
quick.
difference in general budget between a 3DS RPG even.
The scale.
To play
and
devil's
a
advocate,
PS4 one.
relating back to the Far Cry discussion, business decisions do not excuse artistic decisions.
That is true.
And for such a beautiful game, it really makes it seem kind of cheap, and that frustrates the hell out of me.
Yeah,
But they also may have done some kind of you never know. They could have done some kind of focus testing and said and asked people, how much do you care about voice acting? And some of them may have just been I don't really care, because they just maybe
There's
certain people don't care about it
once
the
you
way
reach
we
a
do.
certain fidelity and you have the characters kind of acting out their conversations,
so hold
it's
on.
awkward when you don't have voice acting.
I will say I agree with Cleft. The lack of voice acting is simply unacceptable at many of the key moments in the story.
That is
I will
true.
say there are some huge story moments in that. Well, they'll have not even 2 minute, a minute long voice acted scene, and then that scene will end, and then it will go to in gameplay
It's some
animations,
PS1
and it is.
I think the biggest issue with this is literally that I can't figure out how they decided what was voice acting and what wasn't.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a bummer. It is still a delightful game.
It's like some Yakuza shit.
and I'm definitely looking forward to
actually,
playing more.
Yakuza 6 is the first one that's completely
Fully
voice acted,
voiced.
even sub stories. But also, those games have way more conversation and stuff.
Sure.
All right.
But it's weird how you'll have one scene, one conversation that goes through 3 different
Yeah,
styles.
but this is the first one that doesn't do that.
That's
All right.
great.
Well,
I
thanks
can't
for the
wait.
feedback, guys.
Thank you guys so much for your feedback. Like I
Sorry
said,
about
if you want to leave feedback for next week's episode, or for tonight's episode that we'll read on next week, so hop on over to 4playernetwork.com, find the post for this episode, and leave us a comment. All right, we're going to revisit some games. We're going to catch up with Ed. I know he's been playing some stuff. Shall we first...
Do we have footage this week, Chris Davis? There's a good
I think
question.
we have footage for the 2 big games that we talked about last
I'm
week.
just saying because last week it didn't
Oh,
work.
3 games.
I have footage from my little game.
Oh. Well,
How about we start with the game that made our podcast great last week?
which one was that?
Oh, Nolan.
Sea of Thieves.
Oh, shit.
Let's start with it.
Oh. Far Cry.
Sweet baby Jesus. Okay.
Far Cry sucks. No, I'm just kidding.
I thought it was a whole joke.
I will fight
No,
you to
okay.
the death.
Yeah, let's start with Sea of Thieves. So, okay. So, like I said, before last week, I had not touched this game whatsoever. The most I had seen was when we first saw it at E3, I saw people playing it on the show floor, and then a couple of, commercials or whatever.
then
But
I
I'd
walked
never
away.
actually, I what I saw didn't interest me too much. But when I heard about the the Microsoft free thing. I'm like, you know what, 2 weeks free. Let's check it out. Let's play it. Why the fuck not?
That's some good looking water.
No, the game does look beautiful. I will say, I agree. It is a beautiful game. I was actually having a conversation with community members, and they were saying that I can't remember someone figure out what that actual is, but they spent a lot of fucking time on the water, like apparently a ridiculous amount of time.
Oh, one thing I noticed too about the water in this game versus water in say something like Black Flag is like the way the ship actually like.
Oh no, that's what I'm talking about. The ship physics in the water apparently was a ridiculous amount of development time.
Not to say that Black Flag didn't simulate that at all, but like this like goes all the way. I feel like in terms of like you feel the ship is fucking moving.
So anyway, like what I did was I reached out to the community on our Discord channel that anyone is welcome to join, and I said, hey guys, who has this game and wants to play it with me? I completely forgot that you can play it with people on Xbox One and PC, which was fun because I got to do that. I got to play with some community members on Xbox One when I was on PC. What
the hell just happened?
Well, we found some random barrels. I noticed them in the water, and I said, hey, let's jump out and check what's in them.
Let's hit it with the banana.
Yeah. So here's my experience with this game. One of the best parts is the fact that you play it with friends. I don't think I would enjoy this game whatsoever by myself.
When I played, I felt the same way.
Wasn't the best part of Two Human the fact that you played with friends?
I guess so.
Did you really just compare this game to Two Human?
No, I just remember those arguments.
That, like I said, that was one of my most enjoyable things about this was the fact that I'm getting to play with people, having that communication. The funny thing is, I was kind of watching this footage just to make sure it looked okay. Because I captured like 3 hours of footage. This game is weird when people aren't talking. Just like watching the footage, I'm like, what is this? It's so quiet.
Okay, first of all, too, when I was streaming this, because of the way my streaming room is set up, and I don't have a headset that works on my Xbox, I had to have my actual speaker on, but I had to turn it low so that my microphone wouldn't pick it up.
Sure.
So I was literally playing this game with the volume turned way down, and all I could hear was people talking through my little Xbox headset and whatnot. So it's weird.
So getting back to the game at hand, I will say that one of my least favorite things about this game is like the quests.
Yeah, see, that's what I was trying to convey last week.
So they are fairly boring. So don't get me wrong. You'll get like a quest that's like, oh hey, I like the riddle ones. They're kind of interesting. Solve a riddle to find the treasure.
Riddle ones. That's the one I was trying to think of last week where I didn't get to do a single riddle one the entire time I played.
Oh, really? Yeah. So I was playing, like I said, with community members like Zerby. Zerby's played a lot of this game. And he was saying he was a higher level, so he had actually unlocked some better quests. And so we were able to play some of the better ones. But actually, it's not yet. It's a little bit later on in the footage. There's something I wanted to show, but we'll get there in a minute. This is an example. Here is one of those missions. So I have a map that only has some text on it, but as soon as I get to the island that is involved, the rest of the text will appear. That gives you the kind of the next clue to find. You'll see it kind of just slowly appear, which I think is a cool effect. But yeah, I'm not a fan of like the skeleton ones. There are missions that's like literally go to an island, run around until you find skeletons, kill them, and then you get a skull.
And then everybody leaves the island before you get a chance to explore the rest of it.
And honestly, there's not that much on the islands. Now, you can find some random chests that are worth things. You can find bottles that give you... But, like, overall, like, I barely found stuff on the islands.
What about skeletons? Did you find any skeletons?
Unfortunately.
And the combat doesn't...
Combat's not that great either. I agree. So the missions to go and find treasure chests are fun. What's the third type of mission?
Oh god, you would ask me that.
I don't even remember.
Kill skeletons, find treasure chests.
Yeah, find treasure.
And then there's a third.
Is there much of a difference between
the sorry, I got it. The merchant ones.
Oh yeah, deliver things.
Deliver things. And that actually was kind of we had one where it's like, oh, go to this island and find like this a pig with a gold stripe and find a big black cock.
Okay, first of all, real quick, this is just completely like I listened to another podcast that was talking about Sea of Thieves, and he just said the exact same mission. He was like, I had to do this one mission where I had to go to this island and find a pig, and I found the pig, and then like another player stormed my ship. I spent like 3 hours trying to find this pig, and the pig fell off the ship in the scuttle, and I was fucked.
Dude, we got a lot of money for that pig. But no, so that's actually one of the things I want to talk about is 2 times so far in the however many hours I played in this, we encountered other people. And holy shit. So we're coming up to this island, and it's actually the mission where we need to find the pig and the big black cock. And so we're coming up on the island. Yeah. A rooster?
He's like, yeah.
Oh,
we had
yeah,
to find a black rooster.
Wasn't that clever?
No,
how I said big black cock?
Yeah. I mean, that's
BBC.
Oh, look, oh, that was beautiful. Like dive right into the water. But anyway,
And break your legs on the rocks.
right? So we're coming up on this island, and I was the lookout. I was telling him like, all right, we're about to drop the anchor now. And as soon as I say that, I'm like, I see some black like sails right there.
Oh.
And we're like, oh shit, that's another ship. And it was like a decked out ship. Like it was clearly this people have been playing it for a long time. They clearly have gotten a lot of money because a lot of the things they had on their ship were like, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't think they've noticed us. And we're like, let's fucking rob the shit out of them. And so,
so they were on the island?
Yeah, they were on the island doing something.
They left their ship unattended?
Yeah, and so we start swimming. 3 of us start swimming, and right as we're about to get to their ship, the ship starts moving. We're like, oh shit, they noticed us. And so I think Zerby was still on the ship, and he was kind of piloting our ship. And so we were like, oh shit, it's about to go down. And so we sneak up on their ship as they're sailing, but they were kind of slow because they beached themselves trying to get to us.
Okay.
And so we climb up on their ship, and we start sword fighting, and Zerby just gets our ship into position, and we just he just starts shooting cannons at them over and over. But they're busy dealing with us fighting. And so I died, and when you die in this game, you respawn on your ship after a set period of time. I don't know, like a little over a minute maybe. And so I respawn.
You do go to that weird...
You go to the ghost ship.
The ghost ship. Yeah.
So I respawn on my ship, and then I just start shooting more and more cannons at them.
So as they killed you, this had more cannons?
Yeah, and Wendy was with us too. Yeah, and so they're not... I don't think they shot a single cannon at our ship. But we were literally riddling their ship with holes.
Yeah, and so when you hit the holes, you can get water in
correct,
them.
so their ship starts filling up with water.
Yeah, exactly.
And here's the thing. In your game, when your ship... When you die, you respawn on your ship, unless your ship isn't there. And so they weren't back on on a merchant, on one of the outposts,
on like a tiny island, like with the rock
just by yourself.
Like,
yeah, and so like literally their ship probably had a conservative estimate like 50 holes in it, and we just like destroyed them. And of course their ship flew up in the air or something. It was a weird physics thing, but any chest that's left on the ship just falls into the water. And so we were able to just loot all their shit and like go off, and it was just so satisfying.
I think that was really cool when we played and like we started taking on water, and you literally have to go into the hull of the ship
and get buckets, right?
Yeah, and like start
the water
scooping.
out.
So does a ship fill up with water?
Yeah.
Yes.
Or does the ocean fill up with shit?
So I played this at PAX, PAX West it must have been, and I played it with a friend, and we had the same experience.
Yeah.
Where we saw a ship like way out there, and we had a treasure chest from the quest in our like hole, and we were on the way back to the outpost to turn it in, and we were like, nah, we're gonna turn around. So we turned around and went after the ship from the other players at the thing.
So something interesting is about to happen in this footage, and I'm really glad I happened to be recording when it happened, because this is something that doesn't happen very often in this game. And I'm really glad that this is the footage I got of it. I think it's about right here.
The ship goes up and down.
Oh yeah, no. When you're
just like spread your arms on the fucking
how you're actually balancing on that right now, I have no idea.
So the thing is, I spot this ship off in the distance, and I'm like, oh shit, guys, we got to go for this ship out there. Like we're gonna go fucking like ram them, and we're gonna steal. It was a sloop, one of the smaller ones, and I'm like, they're gonna be fucking defenseless. Whatever. There's 4 of us at max. There's only 2 of them. Let's go like destroy them. But as we're on our way to, I think it was an outpost too. As we're on our way to this outpost to destroy another defenseless pirate and plunder his booty. On the way there, this interesting thing happens to us, and I think it's about to start right around here.
Is that an iceberg?
No, it's not an iceberg. But you'll notice the water like starting to get dark.
Oh,
because a fucking kraken pops up.
Oh shit!
And now we're fucking battling a kraken. And holy shit, this was kind of intense.
I heard there's no kraken. There's just tentacles.
There's just tentacles, yes. You never actually see the kraken. You only see the tentacles. And of course, I immediately run down to the thing and start getting cannonballs because I'm like, oh fuck,
Just so you know, if I was playing this game and I jumped into the water and you could actually see the kraken under the water, I would have stopped playing. That would have been the end of it.
That would have been pretty intense.
I would have been done. Nope, can't do it.
But yeah,
nice shot.
So this was an intense moment just because I think I'd heard someone mention it, but I'd never actually seen it, and it was actually kind of fun to like all of a sudden when you think you're just like out there plundering treasure and stuff, this should happen. So don't get me wrong. This is one of the fun things about this game, but my problem still is there's really nothing to do.
Yeah.
Like, you get all this treasure, and then you sell it, and you buy cosmetic upgrades, and then that's it.
Which another thing that I feel like wasn't brought up last week is that, it's weird that everything you get is cosmetic and you can't customize your character.
Yeah.
I know y'all talked about the fact that you couldn't customize your character.
I mean, you can't customize
but I feel like that's like magnifyingly stupid.
I mean, you can customize your character with the cosmetic upgrades.
No, I know, but the fact that like all your upgrades are cosmetic, yet you don't even really get to make your own dude, seems weird to me.
It is odd, for sure. But like I said last week, like someone spent the entirety of our time playing together, his sole goal was to save up enough money to cut his own hand off and put a hook on his hand. Like, that's kind of funny, but like the fact that from the get-go, when you're in the menu and you go to start the game, you're picking a randomly generated character, that kind of just seems odd. So
I would imagine
that
probably might change in the future.
See, I would hope
that's
so.
one of the things where I was like, see, that's where I feel like that's why I kind of started last week by saying, and this is what kind of.
Oh, jeez! What was that?
Did you just fire yourself from the cannon?
No, the guy grabbed me. The Kraken grabs you with like a fucking invisible, I don't know, and you just get sucked into a tentacle, yeah. And so I'm just in there shooting it from the inside.
This is like a Jaws 3 moment.
It kind of reminds me of the
And then he threw me back onto the ship.
Not a very good Kraken.
I know, right? But yeah, so once again, I don't get me wrong, I did enjoy the shit out of my time with this game, but I'm to an extent done with it already.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing else for me to do. I don't really feel like the only reason I've played this is because I had fun, like I said, playing with the community members. I don't see myself going back to this anytime soon. Now, if they start releasing better things like actual quests with a little bit more story to them, that rather than just go get treasure.
I hope they're really transparent about like marketing the updates that they're issuing, because I would love to come back and revisit this when it is more in a quote unquote complete state.
I had some good times like getting drunk on mead and then throwing up into a bucket and then throwing that bucket at someone.
Dude, I was sitting here trying to steal the ship last week and people were just dumping buckets of puke on me.
Yeah. Singing the shanties and stuff, playing the music on your instruments and stuff like that.
Yeah, when you should be manning the ship.
We came across this one guy who we escaped the Kraken, so I gave him a little wave. We came across this one guy and he was by himself. And he was clearly like didn't want to fight, and he was like, "Hey guys, I have some snake baskets if you want them." And we were like, "No thanks." And then I don't remember who it was. I don't know. Zerby in chat, do you remember? I can't remember who was with us. I'm horrible with chat names a lot of the times. But they just we had a powder keg on our ship, and he just went over and laid it under a ship and shot it and sunk his ship. And the guy ran out and looked at it and started playing the fucking instrument. Like,
did you play this on Tuesday?
No, I played Far Cry on Tuesday.
Did you play
I think
that one chatter.
Is this the ship?
Did not remember.
Yeah, this is the ship. This is the ship that we found because he has all these baskets. That was what?
You dirty pirate.
This is the ship we end up blowing up.
It'd be weird if it wasn't.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah, well.
And so, yeah, like Illum said, there was a moment where, and it's a highlight, but Butters was being a little fussy, so I had to walk Butters. And I was like, guys, don't let us die while I'm out. And so they decided to place a bunch of explosive barrels around me while I was gone. And right as I showed back up, our ship disappeared. Just vanished. And we all fell in the water, and I was still surrounded by barrels. And so someone shot the barrels, and they all blew up.
As one does.
But yeah. So like I said, I see potential in this game. I don't think this game is quote gold. I don't think this is a 1.0 game. I think this game is still, in my opinion, early access. I wish there was more to it. It feels like when I played Subnautica a few years ago. There's some greatness to the game. The main base is there. They just need to grow on it.
You know what? Subnautica turned out pretty dope.
It did
in the end.
It did indeed.
All right. Okay. Cool. Well, thanks for playing it after last week.
Yeah.
Sure. Where do we want to go next, guy? I'm kind of like we have. Hey Ed.
Yeah.
I kind of want to check in with. I know we're gonna talk about Far Cry 5 in a minute, but I want to check in with you. You've been playing some stuff.
Yeah.
You kind of had like 4 or 5 things that you've been playing on the dock there. So.
So I'll talk about the Switch games I played. So first Bayonetta.
Oh shit.
So I played Bayonetta on the Wii U when like the dual disc thing came out.
Mm-hmm.
Played through it all and really enjoyed it, but never actually played Bayonetta 2. So naturally, I bought the Switch version.
Nice.
And so I played. I've just played like the first couple.
Oh, so you've been playing Bayonetta 2 on the Switch?
No, well, I'm replaying Bayonetta 1.
Oh, yeah. Weird.
So, I'm playing that because I kind of wanted to play it again, just kind of because it is fun. It is a fun game. So I played it.
You could say.
I played it in the handheld version on the plane, and it works great, and controls great, and looks nice. And
my question about Bayonetta on something like the Switch is that's a very complex game in terms of like combos and all kinds of. All of that stuff feels okay on a Switch with the tiny.
I'm sure Ed isn't getting any stones.
It feels exactly the same as the Wii U like controls did. I played on the
grip I linked. The Amazon
I did
link?
see that.
That thing is like a godsend
for the Switch. Oh, I remember.
There's a Switch grip.
Yeah, I mean,
for people with large hands,
it works. I've only played like the first chapter or level or whatever it's called. But I like the first one, and so I want to play it again.
Going with it.
Yeah,
definitely play Bayonetta 2. That game is pretty good, even if
she looks good with the short hair.
No, pretty good.
That's one of the things about Bayonetta 3 when they first announced it. It looks like they're going back to the long hair. I really liked her short hair.
Nick,
I know that doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things.
The game probably will come out in 2019. I guarantee you will be able to change her outfit and give her the short hair. I guarantee you that'll be
better. You better.
Okay, so
what else you got?
So I played Steamworld Dig for the first time.
First one or second?
First one
on 3DS
on Switch.
Oh, they released on the Switch.
Yeah, so they released. They kind of did a weird release order. They released 2, and then Heist, and then 1.
Yeah.
And all 3 of them were on sale on the Switch on the eShop.
And they're all 3 great games.
Yeah, so I bought Dig and Heist, and I'll buy 2 when I finish Heist.
Dude,
but
Dig 2 is so fun.
I mean, Dig 1 is really fun. Like, just it was really, the loop there is really satisfying. You go down as deep as you can until you run out of light, and you come back up to the top and turn it in.
Yeah, that doesn't change at all.
Like that.
Well, yeah, no, 2 is very similar. Yeah. The difference is the weapons you have, and obviously the enemy types and stuff like that. But yeah, and that's we talked about it when we talked about 2, but that game is the loop, even though it seems very simple, it's so satisfying.
Yeah, it is. It is. So played that, and then moving on to the next one, I played Fee.
Oh, okay.
Know about this game?
Yeah, I know about it. I haven't touched it yet.
None of us have played it.
It is in the EA original.
EA original.
You know, that's what they're calling their like indie published games or whatever.
This is actually, if you're watching us, it sucks. We don't have footage for this game, but it's actually the game that's on the left in the art up there. On the top. It's very purple.
So when I first got into it, I thought it was going to be kind of not Metroidvania isn't the right word. It's like a kind of like a.
It reminded me of
a character
puzzle
game.
Platformer?
Yeah, kind of.
I know this is a Metroidvania, but it always reminds me visually it makes me think of Ori and the Blind Forest.
Yeah, right.
Even though Ori and the Blind Forest is very much a Metroidvania.
Yeah, so that I kind of was hoping it would be a little more like that. It's not really. It's kind of you go up to different animals and you sing to them, and then you kind of. I think from what I can tell from the loading screen, you start to like transform your character and get a little bit more powers and a little more freedom of movement and stuff like that. I haven't gotten very far into it, but a mascot platformer is kind of what I was thinking of. So I'm gonna keep playing. I think it's pretty short. And
what is this? What platform is this on?
I played on Switch.
Oh, this is on Switch?
Yeah, it's on Switch.
Ooh. Man, you were really getting some use out of your Switch, aren't you?
I mean, being on a plane.
That's true.
You know,
that's true.
I really do want to get something.
And it's called Iron?
T. Oh.
That joke's only been made 100 times.
Crispy's making
good one.
Science jokes.
No, I'm qualified to make that joke.
So I play my Switch a lot because like during March Madness and stuff like that, Katie will be watching the TV downstairs.
Sure.
And she's like, if you go upstairs and play on your computer, you turn away from me for hours on end and don't talk to me. So
remember back in the day when it was like a big deal with the Wii U, where it's like someone could watch TV and you could just use the tablet controller to play.
Right.
That was so dumb.
And a bunch of people tricked themselves into thinking
they
were going to do that.
I know I sure did. Never happened.
Along with other Switch stuff I've been playing, I finished Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Nice. Got about 100 or something hours in that.
What'd you think?
I liked it. I liked the first one's story better. I think it was a little bit more concise in its presentation.
They're
but
different.
Did you?
Yeah, they're different.
You had better pants in the first one.
Yeah, true. The big poofy pants.
Didn't you hear I'm playing nothing?
But the 2, I like the combat a lot better. I think the combat.
Did you ever
2,
play X?
Yeah, it was like my number 8 the year that came out or something like that. So, I played the combat of X was a lot more like 1 than this one is.
Yeah.
And this one, so in
very different.
X and 1, you had those like that long stream of different abilities that you like tab between, and that was terrible. But in this one, all you have is X, Y, and B are your 3 abilities, and
it's complicated. We'd be here all night explaining Xenoblade Chronicles X2, whatever the fuck it's called.
I still get confused by the freaking names.
It's better. I still think you're spending too much time looking at cooldowns.
Yeah, that's probably true.
But it's better.
That's probably true. But the like elemental system that's in the game and switching between different blades and kind of doing those combos is really satisfying, especially when you start getting to the part where you can do like a bunch of different elemental combos and then you activate them all at once and you do a huge amount of damage at the end and you get a lot of extra loot and extra bonuses for stuff like that. So that, and then
the one that you forgot to put on the dock.
Yeah, the one that I forgot. So let's talk about.
But I've been seeing you streaming a lot.
So I've been streaming basically ever since it came out. Kingdom Come Deliverance.
How many hours do you think?
Which no one's talked about surprisingly on the show yet.
Probably about 15 or 20.
That's it.
Yeah.
I'm scared to play that game.
Remember when I said that Kay doesn't like me being in front of my computer? So the game is quite good. It's very rough, but it doesn't teach you the combat at all at the beginning, and they do that on purpose because you're like basically a peasant. You didn't no formal training in your life.
They want you to learn like
and
a peasant.
They do. And so at the very beginning, you basically are this blacksmith's son, and this army like comes down your village and kills everyone, and so you're basically the only survivor except for a small amount of people. And then once you get far enough in the story, you get to a place that teaches you how to shoot a bow and teaches you how to fight with a sword. And it's weirdly satisfying how quickly you start to understand the systems of the game, the combat system, and it actually kind of makes sense a little bit, and it feels almost a little bit like actual sword fighting. Like you actually have to pick which direction you swing the sword from, and you can like kind of.
Do you have like different stances, like high, medium, and low stances?
No, it's just it's directional with the mouse.
Yeah, there's literally like kind of like a
mouse.
There's a range that you can swing from, and you kind of that's the cool part of the game, but it's very much simulation-y, where like the one of the things I can't remember who it is that always is giving me a bunch of advice when I play it, but you can, if you have a dog that's like barking at you and you're trying to sneak around this guy's house, you can like get a piece of meat out of your backpack and throw it on the ground. I thought you were about to say you could kill the dog.
I was like,
you can kill the dog.
Oh god,
you can do that too.
That's an option, but that'll make you a monster.
The better thing to do is grab a piece of meat out of your backpack, throw it on the ground. The dog will be distracted by it.
Yeah,
and so like. I mean, if the dog barks too much and the person's around, he'll hear them and stuff like that. Lockpicking is super rough in this game.
Like on purpose, or
kind of.
Is there like a game that people often use to compare? Like, I don't know anything about this game. Like anything you would compare this to?
It's like
paint a picture
Skyrim.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
But no dragons.
No
dragons, no magic.
Yeah.
Right. What do you think though about like the whole narrative structure of you're playing this one guy who like kind of has a story as opposed to like a more open like simulator type? Because like one complaint that I've read about this game is like you almost have no authority to kind of like mold your version of what's his name, William?
Something like that.
What? Really? You don't know his name?
He's apparently played so many things.
I
think it's William. We'll say William.
He also looks a lot like Ed.
But like there's no like you can't really curate this guy at all.
His
like
name is
you
Henry.
can't you can't make
Henry,
him. You can't or Henry. Okay, Henry. you can't make him like be more.
You don't get a lot
like
of choice in your dialogue
the game will give you these trailheads where they'll be like, oh well, the priest wants to go have a drink with you. Do you want to do that? And then there's this whole like scripted event that like spins out from that where like you go fuck a bunch of whores and like light a barn on fire.
You get two choices there. You can either choose to like basically walk away from the priest,
not talk to him,
and
not engage in the story, and then there's like, or do the thing that
another way you can get the information that the priest gives you.
Yeah.
Or you can choose to drink, whore, and light a barn on fire with the priest, which is the best part, the best quest line. I just finished that quest line recently. But right after that, you're all drunk and hungover, and you wake up on the floor of the priest's house, and the priest, it's Sunday. The guy has to go give a sermon, and he's way too hungover to even talk.
So he asks you to do it?
He asks you to do it. Yeah.
Of course he does.
And it's so good.
Because
it's so
video
good.
Games.
It's so good. And but
I mean that sounds cool, but it also is like, it sounds like it's not, I don't know, like it sounds like a weird medium to pick for what, you know, the developer obviously had a story they wanted to tell. Mm-hmm. So like I don't know. Like I don't know.
I feel
so
compelled
you sound like
by
you're
the story.
describing to me something more like The Witcher versus Skyrim.
Yeah, maybe. Although I have seen The Witcher come up in comparison with it, and like even then I've heard there's more choice about how things play out in The Witcher than there is in Kingdom Come.
I mean, I don't think that the lack of choice is a detriment to the game as far as the main story threads.
Like
okay. Yeah, and you.
But like a lot, like and like Green Goddamn in chat says, if your speech is high enough, you can convince the priest to give you the info without drinking with him. Which is cool. Like, I mean, that's a neat bit of agency, but like, I guess my only little like thing about it is that it sounds like the only choices I'm being given are do the fun quests that we made or don't. Like, you know?
I mean, that's definitely true for the main story.
Yeah. And some people just get off on the fact
not
that
like you can do
there.
this or you can do this or you can take it this way or you can do
right.
Like I as like a, I don't know, like as a player who really likes those kind of open experiences, as somebody who really likes the idea
I have
of
a good example.
Curating
I have a good example for you. There's a point in the very beginning of the story where you're basically under like guard in this castle, and you have to get out. Like you want to get out to go bury your parents, and no one's letting you out. And so you have a couple different ways that you can use to get out of the castle. One of the ways is you walk to the bridge and you jump off the bridge and then you start running. But because the bridge is so well patrolled, as soon as you jump off, all the guards will call and try to get people to chase after you. You can choose to bribe a guard at the front gate. You can choose to dress up as a guard and then walk to the front gate and be like, I'm a guard man, totally. And then the guard man's like, you look like a guard man, and they'll let you out. Like so there are choices in when you're given the agency. Ooh.
Microphone stand malfunction. You're good.
There is choice when you're given the agency to do that. The example that you're talking about is very much like this is what you're supposed to do or you're designed to do.
Yeah.
But and they let you break it if you want to, but like they don't really want you to.
Right.
Is that what it sounds?
More like it's like you can have fun the way we want
to have fun, or you could not,
and we'll just give you the information. Like I don't know. Like I'm thinking because I'm writing campaigns and stuff for D&D, and like the one thing that I hate, like the one thing that I try not to do is exactly that thing.
Right.
Where it's like I've got this whole like NPC storyline that like if the characters talk to this guy, like we're gonna have a lot of fun. But then if they don't do that, I don't want to be depriving them of, you know, a memorable experience. Like I want things to be able to flow out from their choices instead of like giving them the binary, take the left path or the right path.
Right.
And the right path is way better than the left path.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was the one thing that was really holding me back. Like, because I've read a little bit about this game and I followed it when it first came out. And that was the one criticism I saw pop up a couple times that I was like, man, that would really probably kill this for me.
You know, the one thing
I mean, if you're saying that it's not that severe, that's just kind of like
out of the story quests that I've played so far, that is probably the biggest example, the priest one.
Yeah.
And I haven't gotten much further. I think the Green Goddamn is Green Toast, and I think he's the one that has been giving me a lot of advice. So he's played through it all, like, and done a lot of exploration of different options and things like that.
Okay.
You know, the one thing that you said that kind of makes me interested in playing this game the most, I think, is
the mouse.
That killed it for me. No, it's totally the fact that you said it's like Skyrim but without magic and dragons.
Yeah,
like,
no, it is
like just kind of like a RPG kind of set in a just.
Almost realistic
world, like a realistic medieval world, right? Or
and it's
low
like
fantasy.
very simulation.
No,
where
it's no fantasy.
It's zero fantasy.
I mean, there are potions in the game, right?
No.
What?
There are potions.
Can't you make potions?
Yeah, you can make little herbal
fantasy
things.
I'm out.
Wait. Herbal drinks are real, bro.
But like, if you just drink it and it like
Heals
heals a
you or
stab
whatever.
wound, that's fantasy.
Okay, well, it's a video game.
You can
Fantasy. Exactly.
you have to wash your clothes. If you go out, if you don't like actually wash your clothes, but like if you go out and kill a bunch of people and you have blood all over your clothes, you can't walk back into the city, or they'll be like, "Why the?"
So
don't
it's
you
very
also
much
have to like bathe or something too?
Yeah,
Wasn't there something about like you can?
Yeah, so every time when you talk to someone, you have like a bunch of different options and based on your skills and your clothes and stuff. So like one of the options is like you look like you're a noble, like you have a nobility score, and if you don't wash yourself after a couple days, then your nobility score like will go down. And
so it's kind of that's where kind of like the simulation comes.
Yeah,
in. You have to react how you would probably need to react in the world.
Yeah, and you can look at the other person and say like, oh, this person is a noble. My nobility score probably isn't high enough to influence him.
Gotcha.
But maybe my threatened score is high enough to be able to scare him away or whatever.
Like you just walk up to them and you stab someone else in front of them.
Oh, they're crazy. Cool.
So yeah,
I recommend
it's fun. I recommend it. I think it's a good kind of RPG to take you out of fantasy and kind of just focus on kind of
More
the
of a
simulation kind of thing.
Mountain Blade does that too. No fantasy.
Well, the difference here, Brad, is that Ed recommended Kingdom Come Deliverance. You've recommended Mountain Blade. I'm gonna go.
I wouldn't recommend Mountain Blade to you.
That's a burden.
Or Kingdom Come Deliverance.
I know.
It's like, hey, have you ever tried heroin?
Let's be real. I mean, I chances of me actually playing this are probably pretty low. I just think it's kind of an interesting game nonetheless. All right. I think we're probably coming up.
Yeah,
on
fully
the hour.
voice acted, Brad.
Oh, there we go. Fully voice acted.
No, I mean, hey, that's the expectation.
All right, we're gonna take a quick break. When we come back, we'll cover. We'll talk a little bit about Far Cry, and then we'll jump into news.
No,
Brad has a game too.
Oh shit! What's the?
I know. It wasn't
Brad.
even that long of a conversation.
Hey,
I
Brad,
just wanted to bring it up.
Maybe you should have added it to the doc.
Well, it's all ready to go, Nick. And it is on
There's
the
not
doc
an overlay
if you
for
look
it.
at the fucking doc.
There is not an overlay for it.
Hey, Chris Davis, do something. Boom.
We're gonna
take a
talk
break.
about it
Break
after
time.
the break, though.
After the break.
Davis,
After
don't
the
do it.
break, we're gonna take a quick break. If you're watching us live, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Back to the show, Brad.
Yo.
You got a game. We're still gonna talk about Far Cry. but
a game that
Brad's
so
got a
many
game.
people care about. This has been a struggle. But
There is no overlay.
I almost didn't care about this game because, who
bad.
does? It's a game called The Alliance Alive, which is, a very stupid name. But it's a 3DS Japanese RPG, a traditional Japanese RPG. The reason I'm playing this...
Is it voice acted?
Actually, no. No, but this
2 out of 10.
This game has a limited budget, probably for a reason. This studio's last game, The Legend of Legacy, which is another stupid name, was not a well received game, and one of the problems that people had with this game is that there was little to no story, even though it was a JRPG. So the developer thought, well, to remedy that, let's bring on the creator of Suikoden. Hey. The writer creator of Suikoden, who left after 3, they brought him on to write the scenario and the story for this game, and that's why I'm interested in it. Obviously, I mean, I'm not.
Looks pretty.
Yeah, it kind of has a Bravely Default look to it, but
bit.
it
That's
doesn't.
what I was gonna say.
It doesn't
It reminds
have.
me of the tactical game that you and I both played on the 3DS. That was kind of pervy.
That was kind of
The song
I
game?
played so many of those, Ed.
The one with the singers.
Oh,
The-
yeah. Stella Glow.
Yeah, Stella Glow.
Stella
Yeah.
Glow.
Which is another 3DS game that kind of no one played, but it's underrated. It's pretty cool. And this game is kind of maybe scratching a similar itch of the game only I played and only me will ever play. But
How come they didn't call
still
that
pretty
how
cool.
Stella got her glow back?
I don't know.
Nolan,
That's such a dated reference.
Nolan derailing conversations
It's your
again.
old tune now.
I'm sorry.
But so I haven't played too much of it, but obviously Yoshitaka Murayama, I believe, is the creator of Suikoden, who's wrote the scenario on this game, and that was obviously, it made me interested. The thing is, I'm not really far enough to really get into some of the elements of this game that maybe are a little more Suikoden, even though it's not like a full-on Suikoden game or anything. But
Are there like a bunch of characters you collect or like stuff like that, or is it?
I think there's an element of recruiting people for a cause, obviously, and there is a cause in this game. You're kind of, a part of some resistance or whatnot. But it also feels a little like if you've ever played a Saga game. I think there's people who used to work on the Saga games working on this too. So you kind of get this weird blend of the awkwardness of a Saga game with kind of the good intentions of a Suikoden story, I guess. I don't know. But it's surprisingly refreshing how kind of well paced it is. I feel like I was exploring the world map just a half hour after I started, and I got my first I guess like vehicle, you could say. The first thing you could use to navigate the world map in ways that you couldn't beyond just walking around, maybe like an hour after that. So I feel like it's moving.
It doesn't waste any time getting.
It's not wasting any time,
Getting to
and
the
I'm
good
finding
stuff.
that really refreshing.
That?
Yeah, I haven't gotten that yet, but I already feel like I'm gonna be getting that soon.
Wait, is
because
this a trailer we're watching?
This is a trailer
Yeah,
because
Brad
this is a
doesn't
3DS
have-
game,
Oh.
Yeah,
and
he
I
can't
wasn't
capture
able to
footage.
capture footage.
I have the 3DS.
So okay. I was just are the cutscenes presented the same way here? Because I was like, this is really cool looking, like the way they're presenting. But then I was like, oh, this is a trailer.
That's the crazy thing is there are cutscenes that are more kind of zoomed in and cinematic, obviously shot, but they're shot in a way that you would think that those ones would at least be voice acted. But there's no voice acting in this game.
But I like
it's
the
almost
way-
like maybe they intended to do voice acting, but then there was like not much interest in the game, so they were like they cut the budget or something.
The game has some cool art, and I'm liking the
It
way. like-
does.
but
It
so does
does.
it do that thing with like the character art's coming up at all, or is that just part of the
I
trailer?
think that's true.
Oh no! That's part of the trailer.
Okay.
but
Shucks.
the game does have kind of a cool look to it. Like when you're in towns and dungeons, the background, especially in towns, look kind of hand drawn, which reminds me a little bit of going back to Saga games, like Saga Frontier 2, if you recall that game at all, had kind of this hand drawn look to it. So there's these nice elements, even though it does end up feeling a little bit budget with the fact that there's no voice acting, there's no 3D, which is,
That's not a problem for me.
I know it's not a problem, but it's funny because I got this. Where did you take my? Oh, here it is. I got this. I finally got the Samus
Thief.
new 3DS, right? And one of the features of the new 3DS is that it has like better 3D. Not that I really care about 3D, but it was like, well, I have this now. Let's try it out. But the first two games I got since I got this that I've really been playing were the first one was the Radiant Historia remake, which doesn't have 3D. This game doesn't have 3D. There's like a trend of them just putting out games without 3D because they don't give a shit anymore, even though, one of the features of their more recent 3DS was better 3D. I just find that kind of frustrating.
You should pop in. I know this may kill you, and you may pop in that Metroid.
No, the
game.
Metroid game had great 3D.
I
I played through that before I got this.
will admit that Metroid did make very good use of the 3D on the 3DS.
Yeah. So I'm gonna play more of it. I will go into a little more detail in the next week or two.
Cool.
But yeah, I'm surprised by how much I'm enjoying this. It's kind of sitting around like a 75 on a Metacritic. But when it comes to JRPGs, I had this thing ever since I was like a kid, because I kind of grew up playing JRPGs, where if it's not from Square Enix, don't take the score seriously. And I think that actually still kind of applies to some extent. Like games like Suikoden 2, which is one of the most like revered JRPGs of all time, didn't get like amazing scores back then.
Yeah.
So that's how I kind of grew up being a little, questioning of reviews of these games. So I definitely didn't let that steer me away. So I'm going to keep going, and it's pretty cool so far.
Cool. It actually wasn't what I was expecting. I thought when you told me what you were playing based on the name, I thought it was some kind of like tactics RPG or
No.
something.
It's very traditional JRPG.
Looks cool though.
And it's cool.
Cool. Thank you, Brad. I guess the only one left to talk about is Far Cry 5. Anybody else in here? I know Nolan's played a lot of it.
Yup.
I've played a lot of it. Anybody else? Like Crispy?
I finished the John Seed.
Yeah.
area.
Seen it?
I did that as well.
That's the North?
Ed, have you played any Far Cry yet?
No, that one's Jacob.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
John Seed's the
It's weird. They all start with J's. John, Jacob.
Jingleheimer Smith.
The moment I said Jacob, I was like, "What have I done? What have I done?"
You walked right into my trap.
Yeah.
And then the sister's
Faith.
name.
Faith. Yeah. So not really all with J's.
Why did they not?
I don't know. They
think
could have
that?
completed they should have all just been J's.
Why did they?
What is going on? So, anyways, I've played about. I'm coming up on 30 hours. I think I've finished John Seeds, which is the southwest region, and I've been moving into Faith's region and spending a bunch of time there. But I'm taking this game. I'm going very slow through this game, as in I'm kind of doing everything, which I think I don't ever really set out to do when I start playing a Far Cry game, but I always end up doing it anyways. What's your progression?
So
of this game
so let me tell you how this game went. The first, I don't know, hour wise, whatever.
That's one thing that bugs me. There's no time or no count, game clock or anything.
Well, so
in the
the thing is, Ubisoft, because I'm playing on PC, they'll show your clock. Extremely wrong. I had played the game for like 10 hours, and it was like, you've played for 3 hours. And I was like, no, but okay. So I honestly don't know exactly how long I've been playing. But I will say, for the first at least 3/4 of what I've played so far, I never left John's region.
Yeah. No,
I just spent so much time in there. Yeah, exactly.
I
what you're
didn't
saying.
finish John C's region until I was crossing the 20-hour mark in the game.
Just exploring things, talking to people. And it's like, the thing is, this game's completely open. It's weird that all of us went to John's region first.
They really
They
kind of
funnel you that way.
And I tried to do a couple missions in Jacob's region, and it was like every encounter was just like filled with dudes with body armor, and like I couldn't do it.
I did one thing I did.
So it was they were kind of like gating you by difficulty.
I guess
feel
so.
So
like.
one thing I did do between last week and this week that I didn't get a chance to talk about, I played some. I streamed this game shortly after the podcast last week, and I did a 4-hour co-op session with Joseph, which was fun.
Yeah,
as one might imagine. But I actually ventured into Faith's region and did a mission there with Joseph before coming back and doing everything in John's. So so if you look at my world map, which by the way, the world map in this game is very nice. It's 3D and you can move around.
This game is one of the best world maps I have ever seen.
And
the fact that one of the things in John's region is you need to blow up those silos.
Yeah.
You can fucking see them on the map.
Yeah, you don't even have to rely on like an icon. You can literally just zoom into the map and kind of like look at it and like zoom like tilt the camera however you want to look at it, and you can
it's like
physically
Google Earth or
see.
something?
They're part of the geometry of the map. It kind of sucks that they don't disappear after you. Blow
That
them
does
up.
suck that they still
Because
stay
then when you're
there.
trying to be like, which ones do I still need to?
Yeah.
The Terminator?
Yeah.
Okay. So
man.
so real quick, this is something that kind of maybe relates to what Brad just said. I think having spent 25 plus hours of this game at this point, and you know my history with Far Cry and how much I love the series. The one thing I feel like they've really kind of dropped the ball with on this game. I don't even know if "drop the ball" is the right word for it, but like, man, they need to tone back some like the encounters.
Dude, it's stupid.
They need to tone that shit back.
Brett, hold on, just because you haven't played it too much. However much you're imagining the encounters are, there's more.
What about Far Cry 2? Far Cry 2 was like around every corner.
So the problem with Far Cry 2 was that there were a lot of encounters, but they would respawn.
Yeah,
and the outpost would respawn too. Yeah. So you could like spend a bunch of time infiltrating an outpost, drive a mile away, turn back, come back. It's all back, and like that was its own separate issue. And this game, nothing respawns like that. But
the enemies are the one who move in this game.
They like
you'll
they
be
move
around
around so much.
No, yeah, they're in cars driving around, and if they spot you,
flying in planes,
flying in planes and
helicopter.
fucking dive bombing you and shit. It's kind of ridiculous.
And the way this game like progresses and the way the story kind of escalates, I see it's been very divisive. Some people don't like it. I kind of like it, honestly, but like the more stuff you do, you'll see like a each region has like a meter, and each one has like mile markers to the meter. So everything you do gives you points towards building your resistance in that region. When you hit a certain number of points, it triggers an event in the region. One of which would be like John Seed has now sent planes out to find you. So suddenly there's planes flying throughout the sky, and you're having to like pay attention to the sky and trying to keep yourself hidden. Like if you're running through a wide open field, you're easy to spot, and suddenly you're like fighting a plane flying around, which I think is pretty cool. But suddenly when you throw that on top of the fact that you can't go 50 feet in this game without a car driving by and then someone jumping out and a huge. Don't get me wrong, I love the combat in Far Cry. This, like I said, this is like my go-to shooter these days. I love the way Far Cry combat feels. So like, I'm not really complaining about all the combat, except for the fact that sometimes I'm trying to accomplish something or, do a mission or something, and I can't get away from people. I can't.
Yeah, they're
every 2 feet,
everywhere.
I'm running. I'm in a firefight.
Especially if you like die and it respawns you at like the gas station and the intersection, and then there's like always cars coming from like 3 different directions filled with cultists, and you're so goddamn squishy. Like I've put a lot of perks into like leveling up. I've gotten like 1 or 2 health upgrades.
Yeah.
I have full armor, and still like a carload of dudes will just like
they'll
fuck my
demolish
day
you.
up.
Yeah,
Will fuck my day up, and I like.
I have gotten better at surviving longer in this game, but I think that just comes from the fact that now I've been playing it a very long time.
Yeah.
I've kind of picked up on what to avoid and how to react when things like that do happen. But I still think I've died in this game more than any other Far Cry game.
Oh no, 100%, 100%.
Yeah.
I agree with you that like I really like the shooting action and the like the actual shooter mechanics feel satisfying, but I don't like the guns themselves. I don't like the variety of the guns. Like I feel like
I've been trying to
rifles are
experiment with
kind
them
of the only thing that are viable. The bow is kind of viable unless you're in
Whose
a
footage is this, and why are they cock blocking all these bulls?
So, to give you,
Did you do the mission for
I'm
the Testes
I'm
Festy?
trying to prep for the Testy Festy.
Oh, that's what this is.
And the Testy Festy requires a lot of testes.
Yeah.
So I'm collecting them, but the thing is, I have to collect them in
jeez.
process.
Yeah, like you have to go collect Rocky Mountain oysters, right? But
Yeah.
he tells you he needs them. He needs to find. You need a. One of them is like they have to be in the middle of the act. of having sex.
Mid-coitus.
It's so funny because you open the gate to let the bulls out, and it starts. What song does it start playing?
Is it Let's Get It On?
I think it starts playing "Let's Get It
or
On,"
something like
and
that.
I was like, "What the fuck is happening?" And you're just waiting for these bulls to start having
Fucking,
sex.
yeah.
Which I thought was really funny. There's a lot of goofy shit like that happening in this game. In fact, I've done several missions where suddenly there's like goofy music playing, and it's usually pretty effective.
But the weapon variety.
Have you been experimenting?
Bumming me out.
Okay,
yes,
I agree.
And let me tell you something. Like what I found out is that I can't even really do like my preferred setup of weapons, because what I want to do is carry an assault rifle and a sniper rifle and like my bow and arrow. But am I crazy? The sniper rifle and the assault rifles use the same ammunition, right?
Yes, they both use rifle ammunition.
So like it's fucking pointless to bring both of them because I'm pissing through all my ammo so quickly that I run out of ammo for both weapons, and then I'm in like heavy firefights with the bow and arrow, which is fine if I have like an explosive arrow to help me out. But if I don't, like I can't sit there and line up shots without getting completely shredded. And like that assault rifle is the last assault rifle you get until you've like completed 2/3 of the game.
You either have to complete a shit ton of the game to get to the good ones, or you pay a shit ton of money to unlock a special one.
Yeah, I've been ignoring those.
So
like,
I will say,
hard.
Crispy, what I ended up doing was I bought the 50 cal rifle.
Yeah.
It cost a bunch of money, but since it uses 50 cal ammo, it doesn't use my rifle ammo, so I can have both.
I guess what I'm getting at is that like upgrading weapons doesn't seem to be worth it to me, because like if I'm using assault rifles, then like from the M4 or whatever it is, the next one up is that Winchester rifle, which is a fine weapon, but it's completely different because it's basically just a sniper rifle, but it's not as good as a sniper rifle.
Correct.
It uses the same ammunition even. It's just not as good because it doesn't have as much range. It has more power, but it's also slower, so your DPS is still basically the same, because you're only firing like 5 shots and you have to reload in between them. And like it seems like the flexibility to like increase your power in situations where you're dealing with special enemies, like the heavily armored ones, is all in having more ammunition,
or explosives.
Yeah, but like I don't know. Like I wish I feel like a wider variety of guns that do different things would probably be better than having like this weird variety of utility ammunition, which really only affects like these kind of under the hood number generation thing that you're not even seeing, you know? Like yeah. I don't like switching over to the heavy the armor piercing weaponry or the armor piercing rounds because like
well you barely have any
carry
of them.
that many.
Yeah, you only have a couple.
And it's like I forget I have them and I shoot them at like soft squishy dudes because like there's no visual indication between what I'm using. There is,
but it's like the tiniest fucking thing in the corner. It's not very obvious which ammo you're on.
But I mean like there's no visual indication in the feedback of like firing the gun and seeing it hit the guy, you know? Yeah. Like I can't look at that and be like, oh, I know what kind of ammo I'm using. I think that's a neat trick for the bow, and I think that's really cool for the bow, but like having that be the philosophy for all the weapons is kind of not great. Also, my other little gripe, and you know, I don't know, maybe this is just me, but like I did the story quest to get like the weird sci-fi weapon from that guy.
Yeah, it's useless.
First of all, that story quest is like 2 missions.
Yeah,
I thought it was going to be like this whole thing where they're like, oh, we're going to do these missions throughout the whole game, and then at the end of it, you're going to get this really badass, just like creative, awesome, like fantasy gun that we threw into the game. Yeah. And you get it, and it's the most disappointing thing I've seen in that whole game. Yeah, it like the only time it's really useful is if you're getting up in people's faces. It can like knock people back from a distance, but that doesn't kill them. It's just a stall tactic. No, and if you get up in their face and like vaporize them with it, you don't get any fucking ammo.
Yeah.
And it's you don't get any loot, and like loot is so important because like you're just like pissing through ammo.
Yeah.
You know,
because there are so many fucking dudes.
Mm-hmm. So Crispy, honestly, you have a bunch of gripes about the weapons, and while I do agree I have issues with them, that's not my biggest complaint about this game.
Is it aerial combat? Because that also really sucks.
No, for me it's
dude, the airplane I did an airplane combat mission, like a dogfight the other night, and it was goddamn like if I die and go to hell, it's gonna be me playing that forever.
Dude, I had so much fun with the dogfights.
Hold on. What I wanted to talk about is story delivery in this game. Wow. Is fucking atrocious in my opinion.
Man, I don't...
Mainly because in most games in the past, what's usually happens is you go somewhere and you're like, hey, let's start this mission. Mm-hmm. This game is like, hey, I know you're out in the world having fun, but fuck you, you're doing this mission now. And like it gets frustrating because it's like, oh, we're just gonna send dudes and dudes and dudes after you until you die, and then the story mission will start. But sometimes
I don't know what you're talking about. What are you talking about?
Don't they shoot you with bliss bullets?
So when they shoot the bliss bullet stuff,
that's only happened to me twice.
Hang on.
The more you play, it'll happen.
But
more.
I'm
Nick, far. Every time you hit one of those dots,
I know
one of those happens.
There's 3 per region.
Correct.
But like I've only been hit with bliss bullets in this game twice.
Well, the next time you're paragliding and you get hit with a bliss bullet and it takes you into a fucking story mission, you'll know what I'm talking about.
What I'm trying to say is I've played this game for almost 30 hours and it's happened to me twice. So like it can't be universal to everyone's experience with this game.
No, what I'm talking about is the fact that it happens all those times, but the fact that it happens the 9 times, Eric in chat's like, it happens 9 times, 3 for each region, whatever. But still, the frustrating part for me is you don't have an option. Like in games like this, open world games, in my opinion, it shouldn't ever like kind of force you to go into something. Like I said, I was doing a mission the other day. What had happened was I was in John's region, and while in the middle of a mission, I had completed the requirement. I got enough rep to start his final like showdown thing. I couldn't complete the mission I was on because it was near where his mission was, so I couldn't complete it. It locked me out of completing the mission until I went and did his. And that's one of my biggest frustrations is the fact that when you hit certain points in this game, it's like you are not allowed to do anything else until you finish this.
Of like the game.
That's my frustration. I wish it was like most other open world games where it's like, hey, you've now unlocked this mission. When you're ready, go to this point and the mission will start. I understand that that's kind of weird. If you're being realistic, like if these guys were attacking you, they would just do it. They wouldn't wait for you to start. I understand, but this is also a video game.
But that's also not what I was gonna say. I'm of the opinion that like people's the cycle of Far Cry or any Ubisoft game is They do the same thing over and over again, and then they try something different, and then people complain.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying this was necessarily the successful experiment, but like I thought it was kind of refreshing to have them try something different. And honestly, I just haven't had any inconvenient hijackings yet. It probably will happen to me.
So like, there's been a couple of times when I've even been casting, and it's just frustrating because sometimes I'm like literally in the middle of doing something. And I'm like, oh shit, I'm on like part 3 of this 3-part mission where it's like, go here and destroy this like a satellite dish, and then go here and destroy this satellite dish, and then go here and do this one, and I'm on my way to the 3rd one, and I get like hijacked, and then you don't get spawned back where you were, you get spawned somewhere else, and it's like, well, fuck, I was about to like finish this thing, and then now you took me out of it. Like that can be the frustrating part, is because I feel like I'm gelling, like I'm having fun, I'm getting into it, and all of a sudden, like it makes me do something else. And like,
okay,
well,
that makes more sense.
I was just doing something.
I've heard people talk about having issues with the way this game is presented, and I was honestly kind of flabbergasted by it. But I haven't seen that hasn't really happened to me much at all, so I was kind of confused by that. That makes more sense to me.
Yeah, I don't know. Every time it's happened to me, I've been in side quest stuff too.
Like I said,
it just seems weird because it's like, man, you know. Like
I think
we're all on the same page that this is just a video game. Why don't you just put a waypoint on the map for me to go to, and then we'll do your story mission?
I mean,
I admire they're trying to do something different.
Don't get me wrong. Like I said, I
I
admire it to an extent, but the frustrating part is when it comes to the timing of that. Like I said, if like shooting with a bliss bullet is one thing, if I'm fucking like 1,000 feet up in the air paragliding and I get hit with a bliss bullet and it teleports me into a cut, like that's frustrating.
I think also the spirit of the change is not some like we're talking about like, oh, they're doing something new, they're doing something different. That's great. Yes, but like in this case, it's a change that's also like taking more agency away from the player and putting more control into like the game's narrative, which I think is generally speaking the wrong direction for these games to go.
Sure.
I think that is a negative step. It's a change. It's different. It's not better.
Sure.
That's just kind of where I'm coming from.
I can
now,
see that.
I am generally having a lot of fun with the game. Like, just running around. Like, I finally got, like, the bootlegger car. So I'm running around with, like, the chain guns in my car, just, like, shooting people. Like, that stuff's fun. Like, that stuff's really cool. And I'm definitely there for that. I really like the helicopters, especially the ones that have weaponry on them, because you can't, like, you know, use your weapons from the gyro. I really wish the gyrocopter was in this game. But whatever. Right? The airplanes are really cool. Like, they're a really neat addition. I really like flying around with them. I don't like doing dogfights in them, though. Like, the dogfights specifically are just, like, dog shit.
That mission where you have to chase down John Seed at the end of his thing, dude, that was, like, my favorite mission
I
of the
do
game.
want to talk about that. Because the interesting thing that happened with me is the way I resolved that scenario was different from how Sci-Fi resolved it. Some Skyliner was different from how Carlos resolved. We all had 3 different ways of how we ended that mission.
What do you mean?
So, just for spoilers, obviously there's 3 main bad guys, and you besides the 4th, and you have to kill them.
You kill them,
obviously. Yeah. So that's not a spoiler.
Nobody cares about the story of this game. We've already established that nobody cares about the story, because every time we tried to talk about story,
some people
have
care.
been like, and that's shut up.
I'm enjoying it.
Hold on, and that's fine, Nick. And I don't hate the game. I'm enjoying it too.
No, I'm just saying, like, even proponents of the story.
Okay,
don't.
So
care
hold on.
About
So
the story.
anyway, John's mission is the dogfight in a plane. So in his, he bailed out of the plane in my game and was parachuting down to the ground. Did that happen in yours?
No.
Yeah.
He did. Yeah. I don't remember why, but we were both parachuting.
Okay. So
and I was like trying to shoot him and I couldn't hit him.
So
hit by
so
then I got hit by bullets.
I think Skyliner said she shot him when he was in the air and she found his body on the ground to progress. Carlos had to chase him down on foot on the ground. In my game, when he was parachuting down, I ran into him with the props of my plane.
I was trying to do that for so long. People in chat were like, "You monster! Just let the man parachute."
Oh no, I did. I fucking right the props into his body.
I am genuinely surprised by how many people are playing this game.
Really?
People who were just like, new Far Cry before it came out, and then it comes out and everyone's fucking.
Well,
playing
here's the
it.
thing.
I don't
at the end of the
this
day,
is like. This is comfort food gaming. This isn't like
I
something
agree.
where you're like, oh my god, I can't wait next year for the new Far Cry. But when it's out, you're like, yeah, I've got nothing else to play. This is really fun.
that
Let's
is definitely
do it.
how I feel about it. And honestly, I think there's even people who have problems with it seem to agree the game is just fun. It is flat out. It's definitely fun.
I mean, there's a lot.
There's a lot to like here, even if certain things you don't like.
Like Crispy was saying,
I like honestly, I love the idea of like the Far Cry arcade. I've been playing even more of that.
I haven't even
like
touched that yet.
doing like custom maps and stuff, and like there's some really cool things, and people are like coming up with really neat ideas, and I think that stuff is really innovative, and I'd like for them to push that direction a little farther. I'm excited about the DLCs coming out for it because it looks more like what they quote unquote want the direction of Far Cry to be. I do think it is. I think it's a great game. I think it's a little bit of a mixed bag though.
Yeah.
I'm so frustrated that this game is divisive because I didn't play Primal. I played very little 4. But I played
4
through
was
3.
so much better than 3.
I played through 3 and I put it on my top 10 that year.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. I like a good Far Cry game. I was kind of hoping that this one would be like, a great place to hop back in.
I mean,
it's really divisive.
It probably is.
But there's a lot of. I think there's a lot of context around the games that have changed since Far Cry 4 even came out.
But I don't
think
think
that this didn't adapt to very well. Like it either didn't change where it should have changed, or it did change things that maybe didn't need changing. Like it, I think this game is pretty much just as good as 3 is, but I kind of think that.
But like
our opinions of what is good or like what is acceptable have kind of changed a little bit in the last 5 years.
But no one would. I mean, I should just play 4.
You should just play 4, maybe.
I mean,
because everyone loved that game, right?
4 was good. I enjoyed it. So hold on.
You should play this game
and hold on. Let's talk about 4 real quick.
Worth playing.
And another frustration I have with this, in 4, when you co-op, you both can complete story missions.
Yeah.
In this, when you co-op, your co-op partner completes nothing.
And that
they keep the loot.
They keep money and anything like
perks.
that. But they if they were to go back into their game, they'd have to redo all of those missions.
That's why.
And that's kind of frustrating.
That was one thing I was kind of hesitant about playing co-op. I did have a really fun time with Joseph. We went bald eagle hunting in a helicopter. That was fun.
No, it's fucked up.
It's kind of fucked up.
I mean, I was playing with Joseph. What do you expect? But we had a lot of great moments and highlights that came out of that. They're probably going to come up here on YouTube pretty soon. But and one thing that Joseph introduced me to that I'm having a surprisingly large amount of fun with this game, and probably the one thing that's going to prolong my experience with this game more than anything else. I've spent a lot of time in this game just hunting and fishing.
Dude, hunting's great in this game.
I just go out into the woods.
Fishing's good.
Out into the hills. There's no cultists out there, and I just get my bow and arrow. You have Boomer with you, and you fucking.
He points out the animals.
He points out animals. You can if you hit an animal, they start to limp, and then you can sick Boomer on them, and Boomer will chase them down and get that stuff is so great, and the fishing is fun. Mm-hmm. You can upgrade your fishing.
So hold
lines
on.
And
what I will say, that's another frustration for me, Brad. Is you'll be fishing, you're having a good time fishing, enemy boat drives by and starts shooting at you, and it's like, God, I was just having fun fishing. Why do you have to come shoot at me?
Yeah,
I'm pretty impressed.
That shit's annoying. That's what I'm saying. Like, if this game, I think, would be dramatically improved. In fact, it may even make it one of my favorite in the series if they would just tone back.
So what I will say is, once you've completed an area, defeated that guy,
it's so nice.
The cultists, there's barely any after that.
It's so
but
nice.
It's frustrating that you have to complete an entire area.
I spent 5 hours in John Seed's area after I freed the region, and there's I ran into maybe 5 more cultists throughout the area.
I bet there'll be some. There'll be a less dudes patch.
I'm sure. No, I think
that's probably.
I'm sure it's gonna happen.
I'm really. I mean, because it sounds like all of us who really, with the exception of Chris Davis, I would like to hear what he has to say, but. All of us on the couch who have played this game have kind of only just done John Seed's area, which I'm pretty sure was designed to be your level 1 to 10 area,
Yeah.
So all the enemies are pretty
They introduced some
generic.
new shit in Faith's area.
I know, they do. They introduced, Faith's area and Jacob's area both have unique enemy types. And I've encountered both of them, and woof.
So what I will say,
I don't
Crispy, I've completed John's.
I feel like this game is about to start pissing me off.
So I will say,
real
Crispy,
bad.
I've completed John's. I'm 2/3 of the way through Jacob's, and I'm 1/3 of the way through Face. I started hopping around a bit more.
Yeah.
There have been actually some pretty good side missions. Honestly, that's the thing is I'm enjoying the side missions more than the main missions. There was one where I had to go to this fucking log cabin. and there was a guy who was like all hopped up, and I had to like rescue him. But then they just start shooting waves of dudes at you, which sounds not good. But the way the cabin's laid out, it's almost like you're having to kind of like duck around and come to this window and shoot at some guys and come over here. I actually did enjoy that mission a little more. I was setting up like proximity mines around the area.
I saw a video of like a haunted house.
Yes, I did that yesterday.
Yeah, haunted houses.
That was pretty cool.
I love haunted houses,
dude.
In video games,
dude. This is one thing Carlos said the other day. That
story mode, not like
no, it's a side mission. I mean,
it's in the main game. Yeah.
You go to places and you find like the prepper
stash.
The prepper stashes, right? But there's also like a lot of those prepper stashes end up being like pretty elaborate and like unique. And like one thing Carlos said I thought was kind of interesting. He said a lot of those prepper stashes end up kind of feeling like like Tomb Raider light. Like you go into like caves and you're like climbing up shit and like jumping over and like shooting stuff down to make bridges and stuff. Like that stuff's kind of cool, and I've been having a lot of fun with those. Some of them aren't just like walk up to a thing and go in. Sometimes you have to go.
No, I've done a bunch of them, and most of them have been walk up to a thing, solve this puzzle.
Oh, I've done like 4 or 5 that have been
it's like,
pretty...
I've done like 4 of them that were just like, this one's flooded, you need to find the pump.
Oh, no, I mean, I went into one the other day. It's like you actually go splunking into a cave, but you can't get into the cave without going through this like huge batch of like bliss. So you're like hallucinating.
Was that the one I was watching where all the dudes were in the cave and stuff? I was watching you stream for a bit.
No, I did that one, and then I did another one yesterday where I was like hallucinating, and your shadow keeps like you'll see your shadow on a wall, and then the shadow will like run away, and you're like, what the fuck? Like just shit's like that to you the entire time.
Hey Ed, are you much of a Far Cry dude?
I played a couple hours of 3.
So no,
but I didn't get in. It wasn't really into my
wheelhouse
open world at the time.
Gotcha.
So I mean, it appealed.
You were just playing a lot of WoW at the time.
Yeah, basically.
Oh man,
I mean, you're not wrong there.
We don't need to go any farther into Far Cry. We've talked a lot about it. I'm still enjoying the hell out of it, and I was hoping to get through this game a little bit faster, so I can make sure I get time with Ni no Kuni before God of War inevitably comes out at the end of the month. But man, at the rate I'm going, I'm probably gonna be spending a shit more time with Far Cry 5.
Did anybody get Ni no Kuni on Steam?
No. All right. We have I think that's it for impressions. Let's do. There's a few news topics. Nothing huge and crazy, I guess. But why don't we start with Spider-Man? Because that's kind of the one.
Spider-Man,
dude. Spider-Man has a release date.
Yeah.
September 7th, 2018. September is filling up.
Yeah.
We got Dragon Quest 11, Spider-Man, Tomb Raider, and there's a fourth one.
Something else, yeah.
Oh shit, there was something that was. I forgot what it was. Maybe somebody in chat knows. Spider-Man looks fucking dope. I'm very excited for that.
Spider-Man's mine.
Tomb Raider's gonna get trounced.
Probably. I mean, the thing is, like, everyone seems to be trying to avoid October, probably because of Red Dead.
Yeah.
But yeah, Spider-Man looks really cool. There's been some new details that came out about that. In fact, Game Informer's doing like an entire month worth of coverage on Spider-Man, so I'm sure we'll be finding out a lot more in the coming weeks. There's no microtransactions. That's kind of welcome.
Yeah.
They started showing off some of the there's going to be a bunch of Spider-Man costumes to unlock and shit.
That's cool.
Throughout the game, which of course is really cool.
They've got a huge well to draw upon there.
Oh yeah.
Probably going to be a bunch of Spider-Verse shit.
They did confirm like there's a lot of, apparently in their version of New York City, they have a bunch of landmarks from Marvel. Like they have the Avengers Tower, they have the Wakandan embassy, and one other one I forgot. So like, yeah,
the Baxter Building, was it? It has to be because Johnny Storm's got to be in the game, right?
Wellesley's right. The Spyro thing was September as well.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
If that's what we're
you know what?
Yeah, I'll be playing that.
We'll call that a segue.
Spyro's going up against Spider-Man.
Spyro collection, which is the Spyro, the reignited trilogy.
First 3 games.
Yeah, you know what?
Speaking of mediocre developers,
you piece of shit.
The people who making Spider-Man used to make Spyro.
You know what?
Whoa.
You know what? I think it's...
So it doesn't matter what you pick in September. They're getting money anyway.
I think it kind of sucks that like they chose the first day that Brad's back on the podcast to announce the Spyro Reignited.
Hey, I'm excited. I'm going to play Spyro. Whoa. You know what's funny? Is like, I've always been, obviously this opinion has been a running joke, like, oh, I know I rag on Spyro, but I haven't really played that much of it. It's probably fine.
Right? I mean, I played it recently.
Right? And then when I started streaming again, I with Henry, I was like, I'm going to play fucking Spyro all weekend, right? Or all day. And like, I got like, and I played like
That first
45 minutes of Spyro was like, no, I can't do this. This sucks.
I will say this, and I could be wrong here. It's been a long time. I feel like Spyro 2 added a lot to it. That might be a little bit more of your alley. That first game is...
I was playing 2.
You were playing Ripto's Rage?
I was playing 2.
Never mind.
Was the one where you could fly by the end of the game.
Well, I mean,
glide.
all of them.
You could glide in all of them.
Glide at the beginning.
Was that? I thought they only started in 2.
No.
You know, the funny part is, when the Crash trilogy came out, everyone was like, oh, Crash is back. Like, people were like, oh, man, these games were, like, fucking tough.
Yeah,
These were some tough games, man. The same thing's going to happen with Spyro, but it's going to be in the other direction. People will be like, damn, these were baby games.
But you know what? Now they're...
We liked them because they had good graphics, and we were children.
You know what? Now they're pretty. They've got great,
beautiful.
Yeah,
they've got great soundtracks.
SMG is right. I played
so cool.
all 3 of the GBA.
Oh, I heard those are like
games.
kind of hidden gems.
Wait, are they
good.
original?
No, you find them.
no,
The gems are hidden. You have to find them.
Original
true.
what?
Were they
They're not
original
that hidden.
games,
They're
or were they, were they ports
hidden
of
gem
it?
games.
No, they're original games.
Oh.
Season of Ice, Season of Fire, and then
they're
Legend
like
of Dragons.
Metroidvanias. A couple of them are, at least.
You say Legend of Dragoons?
Legend.
Spyro the Dragon, Legend of Dragoons.
Which is the one where Elijah Wood was the Spyro?
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, they like rebooted it.
Are you thinking of
with,
The Hobbit?
with a Hollywood cast?
Are you thinking of
and Elijah Wood was Spyro.
That's The Hobbit.
What are they called? No, that's thinking Ratchet and Clank.
Elijah Wood wasn't in The Hobbit.
Did y'all watch the... Yeah, he was, actually.
Oh, like one scene?
Yeah.
So yeah, that is 4 games coming out in September, though, that are, one way or another
technically
probably
the trilogy is 3.
Shut up, Ed.
So we got 5 games, 6
Year
games.
of the Dragon, Ripto's Rage.
Yeah. Well, no, Year of the Dragon.
Year of the Dragon was the 3rd one.
Okay, yeah.
Ripto's
You know
Rage
how
was the
you've
second.
always
Alright,
been
let's
kind of
move
like,
on.
you know...
We've talked about
Alien
Spyro for a
3.
little
Wait,
while.
I want to hear what
We've talked more about Spyro than we did Spider-Man.
That's true.
And I still had things I wanted to say about
Oh,
Spider-Man.
by all means, please.
The swinging is going to be dope.
The swinging looks really cool. I'm afraid.
Don't be afraid.
I'm really afraid because I watched those.
Have you read any of the coverage?
Those gifs that no, I haven't. All I really had was like the video that they like the trailer that came out yesterday or 2 days ago, I guess, or whatever. And then like Jaeger posted a bunch of gifs in chat of like the like
flippy
just,
shit
of just him like swinging around the city. And it's like the more I watch it, the more I'm like that looks so cool, but it also looks like it looks really automatic.
What?
It looks really like contextual and automatic.
Well,
and
first
I'm
of all,
like, I don't know. I think that's just like maybe like a little paranoia in the back of my mind, going like, this isn't gonna be as fun as you think it is.
Okay, first of
This
all,
isn't
they
as cool
broke
as it
down the
looks.
mechanics.
Spider-Man
Mechanics.
swinging, I feel any flourish on Spider-Man's swinging has always been contextual for the most part.
I think it kind of needs to be to an extent.
No, for sure. But like it looks like he's doing a lot of different things in a moment. Like he'll swing, run on a building, like jump off, like shoot himself over the edge of another building, and like I would think that at least 2 or 3 of those things should be unique inputs.
They're moving,
but like it kind of doesn't look like it is.
No, but Game Informer broke it down. They are.
Okay.
Crispy, I think you're getting worried.
Then I'm
You
getting
should
so
try
paranoid
playing the
because
game.
this is my big game for the year.
No, like the
Spider-Man.
team is
too,
like
right?
specifically saying like, look, we know Spider-Man 2's the good one. We've been looking at that. You know, like they're
No, Enter Electro was the good one.
no, not the swinging.
Just so you know, Game Informers, they've already done an episode of the podcast where they broke it down, and I think their article talks a lot about. They've been doing a lot of stuff about swinging. The swinging has been apparent, like everything they've said about the swinging. I mean, of course.
That's all
The
they have
people
to
who
get
worked
right.
for the magazine owned by GameStop said it was good.
I was gonna say
Collusion.
most of the time. Their cover stories, they are obviously very positive about all their cover stories, but like there's a certain amount of truth that
Sure.
you can't avoid. I mean, so
You're right. I haven't dug into it deep enough yet, and I need to do that. But like this was just my gut reaction after like watching like, the visual evidence.
You'll be all right.
Other than that, it looks fucking amazing. Like it looks so goddamn cool.
Insomniac is a solid developer.
dude,
I know. Like
I think this might be.
And I was thinking,
They made Fuse.
while I was watching this, I was thinking about
I hate
Sunset
Superman.
Overdrive, and like I was thinking about like, man, like after a while in Sunset Overdrive, once you got like into it and you like leveled up a little bit, like moving around that game was really, really, really fun. But there was also that sense that like if like like if you weren't doing like the cool, awesome movement mechanics that they wanted you to be doing, that like the game felt bad, you know? Do you know what I mean?
Well, no, you're right. But as someone who's played, a healthy amount of, someone who's played Spider-Man 2. Sure. And it knows what good swinging is. And someone who's played Sunset Overdrive.
Brad's a swinger, guys.
Like Sunset
Spider-Man,
Overdrive feels like shit compared to Spider-Man.
Confirmed.
2.
Well, I mean, it's completely different kind of thing. But yeah, like
when you
Spider-Man
get that
2
sticky stuff all over your hands.
Wait, what did you say about Sunset Overdrive's traversal?
It feels like shit compared to good Spider-Man swinging.
So
good, it's fine.
Fair enough.
It's fine. But
it did feel good in its own right.
Resistance is kind of mediocre. So
sure,
we'll see.
If
3 was pretty good.
3 was dope.
This one, like, they have to be throwing everything they have at this game, right?
Yeah,
they have.
They're just throwing everything and seeing what sticks, Crispy.
Pooping and just throwing it at the wall. Oh, hey, we'll just throw in, I don't know, fucking Mysterio or something. Or a cameo with Doctor Strange. Like, that would be so cool. I don't care. Throw as much shit at the wall as you want. I just hope that
what's there is good.
I'm rambling now because I'm excited. I don't know.
What else we got?
All right, couple quick news topics. We already covered Spyro, covered Spider-Man. There's one that I know. I think Ed put this in the doc.
Yeah, I did.
Ed put this in the doc. There it is. World of Warcraft.
Yeah, the new expansion for
Stop it, Ed.
World of Warcraft comes out.
Stop
We've
it.
never
on August
talked about this
14th.
on the show.
Ed
And
Mitchell
that's
is our
why
guest.
I'm here, bitch.
Ed gets to pick a news topic.
No, weird.
But
What?
so
I want to talk about this with you.
okay.
Tell me about it.
So, Legion has been like the best expansion of WoW that they've ever put out. By many accounts.
So they did like Cataclysm, then Legion?
No.
Or what was the one? Is it still
I'm pretty sure
fucked
Wrath
up?
of the Lich King is the dopest.
A lot of people are saying that
listen
Legion,
to this
many
monster.
accounts that Legion is better.
Phasing, the realm phasing.
But the next one comes out on August 14th. I'm excited. I already.
Is this all related to the WoW Classic, or is that
No,
that's going to be
that's
completely different, right?
that's completely separate. I think when that was announced, that they didn't like say anything, but I'm pretty sure that's going to be like tied in with your subscription. So if you want to play WoW Classic, you have to pay the normal subscription.
You're still playing World of Warcraft, huh?
Yeah.
None of those words mean anything to me.
World of Warcraft?
What kind
Like
of
what he was like, how he's describing.
what kind
it.
of like in-game rewards do you think you're going to get from being an Overwatch player?
I mean, it's the other way around mostly.
Oh no, dude! Like you don't like they hardly do any in-game rewards for Overwatch based on what you've played for other games. You get
if you buy
Heroes
like
of the
collector's
Storm, you
editions
get
and
shit
things
for
like that.
having Overwatch. Like World of Warcraft, you get the like StarCraft portraits. Although they did put Kerrigan and Nova as skins for Widowmaker and Overwatch.
Mhm.
That was
I
pretty sexy.
Oh,
for the StarCraft anniversary.
I was going through. I was throwing out some shit for the move, and I had going through some game magazines. I saw a cover story for StarCraft Ghosts.
Oh,
man! I thought of you, Crispy.
No,
I was so excited for that game.
Everybody
I was so excited for it.
I was playing Overwatch the other day as Widowmaker with the Ghost skin on, and I was like, "Yep, this is it. This is Ghost. This is as close as I'm ever gonna get. I'm happy."
I couldn't be on the podcast and have the day of the new WoW expansion date announced and not bring it up.
Well,
yes, I play Overwatch.
It was very telling.
Overwatch.
Man, I finally got Overwatch on PC.
Oh yeah.
I'm just going crazy.
I am not
It's
trying
so
to be
good.
rude, but I was listening to a podcast.
That usually is preface.
A few weeks ago, I was listening to our podcast, and I was going, "Okay, this is okay, Joe. I mean,
We have to shit on our own podcast.
And then all of a sudden, Crispy started talking about Overwatch, and I shut it off, and I deleted it. I deleted the fucking podcast.
Don't listen to Brad,
true
Crispy.
story.
I like hearing you talk about Overwatch.
No. I'm just saying, there's certain things, there's the Venn diagram. We're on opposite ends of the big circle
Hey, Crispy,
Yeah.
on that one.
do you miss Brad?
I mean, even Overwatch fans can't be mad that someone doesn't want to hear about Overwatch at this point. It's such a, it's a huge community, but they're their own thing.
But guys, we did have to.
You don't talk that much about Tekken. I don't talk that much about.
I don't talk at
Overwatch,
all
you
about
know?
Tekken.
I mean, sometimes.
All right, I call
Sometimes you
bullshit.
do.
I call so much bullshit. We did fly Ed all the way down here so he could talk about World of Warcraft.
Exactly.
So
let
we
him
have to let him
talk.
talk about it. All right.
Is Mists of Pandaria just Kung Fu Panda? Is it a ripoff?
No.
Yes, it is.
No, because
the pandas-
technically
That was a great expansion.
Warcraft had Pandarans in it before Kung Fu Panda came out.
That's true.
That doesn't mean...
Thank you, Crispy.
Did we have another news topic, or is that
Yeah,
it?
Hitman.
Oh, that's right.
that's
right.
This is shitty news.
Ed, remembering when
I read
couldn't-
things.
Look at this head guy.
Oh, Warner Brothers is
Yeah, this
publishing
is
Hitman?
not
Warner
good
Brothers is the
fucking
new
news.
publisher.
First of all,
And they're
Warner
releasing a
Brothers
new
has
edition of it.
Proven to be kind of a not great publisher over the past couple of years. Second of all, I was kind of excited about IO just kind of being independent. Putting out shit
I
on
wanted
their
them to
own.
be independent as well.
And look, they announced this. They're publishing it and they're releasing Hitman again on a disc. Haven't they done this like 5 times now?
Yeah, but they
stop making definitive editions of this.
But those
and-
discs aren't being printed anymore, right? So once they run out of the stores, then they're gone forever. And so this version is to
Sure, but like
Version for people like me.
But stop it.
That wanna get
Bankroll
all
season
versions?
2. That's what we want. We want season 2. We don't want this
But
season again.
this could have been a stipulation in their contract to say, "Hey, let us do the definitive version, and then we'll fully fund you for season 2."
Sure, but it's just
This is
it's
most-
annoying.
Wait, does this
It's like they did it with Square Enix, and then they went independent, and they announced that they're gonna put it on a disc or something, and now this is happening again, and they're announcing another.
You got to
edition.
realize, as a studio, like there's a certain amount of comfort that comes with having a publisher.
when you don't have to worry about money as much.
Yeah,
But this is just like a straight publishing deal, right? Like, this isn't going to be one of those situations where, like, Hitman is going to pick up in popularity all of a sudden, and then Warner Brothers is going to go, like, okay, we're doing yearly development cycles. You guys work on the next Hitman. We're going to have
Depends on their contract.
WB Montreal do a Hitman's Origins.
Oh,
or some
you son of a
shit.
bitch! You had to go there.
No. No.
You had to make a jab.
That is not even as dark as it can get.
That's pretty
It
dark.
can go way darker of like free to play loot boxes. We're talking about,
Well, yeah.
I mean, look what they did to Lord of the Rings. I mean, Middle Earth, Mordor, whatever the fuck it's called.
Shadows of
What
War.
a terrible name.
Shadows of Wardor.
I wasn't on the podcast, I
Shadows
don't
of
think, when y'all
Mordor.
were talking about that. And maybe I was.
I fell off that game really hard.
It
That's
was amazing.
I did not like that game.
No, it was okay.
What a
All
bad-
right.
What a bad name.
Let's move on. We got some questions. It's time for the community segment. We have questions from our supporters on Patreon. Nolan, I'm turning it over to you.
Community, no time. Okay, let's go. We got 3 new patrons this week.
Three.
Wow.
Thank you.
Luke, Bryce, and Mitchell.
Wow.
So thanks, guys, for being patrons. We appreciate you. Now that you are patrons, you can ask us a question. We post a thread on Patreon every week before the show.
Before you read that first question,
where you can ask us any question you like, any question at all. And the weird thing is none of those 3 new patrons asked us any questions.
How strange.
Before you read that first question, it's also in the news.
So anyway, moving on.
There's a Spy Party early access on Steam.
So yeah, I will say, Spy Party is officially in early access on Steam.
10 years later.
Yeah, right.
That is such a full.
Next week
That
is
is
when,
such
when
a
it
full
goes on.
circle slap in the face. I feel like.
Are they going slow enough for you to feel comfortable, Nolan, that they're not releasing a 1.0? It's like,
Yeah. Well, I mean, the fact that they've never said, "Hey, give me $60 for an incomplete game,"
Oh shit!
and
there
Chris
it is.
Hecker is basically doing the entire game by himself.
Not just that, but Chris Hecker went out and said, "Listen, next week this goes on early access. It is going to go up to $25. It's $15. Probably just buy it now."
Yeah, he did say that.
So, which is
Good
pretty
guy,
cool.
Chris Hecker.
Yeah, dude, great guy, Chris Hecker.
We do like Chris Hecker here. All right, let's get some questions.
All right, first question this week from Wingless. And this is a question we've answered before, but anyway. Does anybody have a ghost story or something akin to that they would be willing to share? I'm a cynical person and don't believe in that, but always like to hear experiences people have.
I think we did
Nick
answer
with
this
his
question.
like glowing light
we
above
did
the thing.
If someone could
Yeah.
find, maybe someone could in chat could reference what episode number or something we talked about that.
That's
I don't know if Ed
literally
has any
impossible.
ghost stories he'd like to share.
That's true. Ed's never.
I don't believe in ghosts.
Same here. High five, Ed.
That doesn't mean you haven't had a ghost.
That doesn't
And
mean
that is anything that has would be contributed to a ghost.
I mean, but, like,
anything
easily
weird or
explainable.
unexplained.
yeah, it's something you can't explain.
Let me
Like,
ask
have you ever had something happen to you that you're just like, I don't really understand. I know it's not
Hold
a ghost.
on.
There must be a rational explanation for it.
Crispy.
But I don't know what it is.
So does that mean quantum physics is a ghost?
Yeah.
All right,
I
first of
can't-
all,
Okay,
that
what
is
are we talking about?
all right.
The
We're not
worst
getting into that
James
debate.
Bond movie?
But like, isn't it kind of horrifying that once you see a ghost, now everything is real? You know what I mean? Well, like, it's so important that you never see even one of these things, because as soon as you see one, everything is off.
It's all fair game.
Yeah, it's all
Vampires,
fair game.
werewolves, everything.
Everything can be real
Oh, yeah.
because fuck.
The what was this?
So that's why I hope I never
what's
see
it
a
called?
ghost.
The no man. What's his name?
The Bye-Bye Man.
The Bye Man. There you go.
And he's got a dog made of eyes
think it,
or
don't say
something.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds fucked up.
All right. Anyway, let's move on. Next question from Sean.
Slender Man.
What setting in a video game would you think would you think work as a D&D setting? That's weirdly worded. A setting in a video game that would be good in D&D. For example,
Original
I
Sin
think
2.
Comrade's multiplayer portion of
Warcraft.
Final Fantasy 15 can easily be adapted to a tabletop RPG and would make for quite a few interesting game nights.
I actually have a go-to answer for this.
Okay.
Because this was like the first thing I thought of when I played this game, but I would love to do a D&D campaign in the world of Horizon Zero Dawn.
Ooh.
And structure things in that game, or a world similar to it, and structure things in that game around classic D&D like classes. Like, so you would have wizards that were basically just people who knew how to manipulate.
I think Crispy's
like,
mic is low.
ah!
Sorry. Hold that thought, Crispy. Hold that thought.
Go.
Yeah, but like so like in Horizon Zero Dawn, you could have like magic users, quote unquote, who were really just people who knew how to like manipulate like Aloy's focus. Like when she sits there and is just like manipulating her focus, like it looks like she's just doing magic, basically.
Yeah.
You know, shit like that. But like knew how to use that technology to do like fantastic things that people normally couldn't do. I mean, that is essentially what magic is, and you could have like pretty much every character archetype. I don't know how clerics or divine would work, but that would be something that could be figured out. But yeah, Horizon Zero Dawn is the first one that comes to mind.
I don't know why. First of all, I know nothing about writing campaigns for D&D, but I do feel like it would be cool to see kind of like maybe a sci-fi spin on it, like maybe like in the universe of like XCOM or something, but like approaching it the way you would interact in like a D&D setting. I think that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean that would be a really tactical campaign.
Yeah,
For sure. That's a good answer.
show.
Probably use like one of the Star Wars systems for it or something.
That'd be cool.
What about The Witcher?
Witcher would be an
Witcher
awesome
would be
campaign
good.
setting.
Yeah.
Or you
definitely.
I mean, there's like that would
Going
be
on the
amazing.
sci-fi spin like Mass Effect.
Yeah,
Could be good.
Mass Effect would be.
The thing is, what we're talking about, I'm 100% certain there's someone out there that has a Witcher D&D campaign. I'm certain
no,
someone
I
out
think
there
there's
has
a
Mass
Witcher
Effect.
tabletop RPG.
Yeah, I'm sure they
Yeah.
do exist.
Yeah.
Mr. Greentos asks, with several recent games getting slammed for a lack of in-game content, such as Sea of Thieves or Destiny 2, what games actually nailed the in-game? For example, Dragon's...
Are you saying end game?
End game.
End game.
For example, Dragon's Dogma was my personal favorite since after you beat the game, there's essentially another full, harder game behind it. Tons of new items to collect and new foes and bosses you never encountered in the main game.
I think Souls games have
What
always
was
handled
the-
in-game content pretty well.
The Dragon, is that what it was called? The one that
Yep.
that, like
Yeah.
it kept getting stronger anytime it killed anybody.
Anybody in
the-
like,
yeah,
in the
that was
whole
pretty
world.
cool.
Yeah.
I think Red Dead Redemption has an amazing end game. In fact, I've always said that
Yeah.
it's one of my favorite endings to a video game ever.
That's a little. That's not really the spirit of the question, but you're right.
It's not really.
I think
in-
he's talking more about like these
like a
style
post
content
game stuff,
game.
right?
Yeah, he's talking about like post-game content.
Yeah.
And I think, and even though I think the post-game content in Red Dead Redemption is kind of brief, I think it's easily one of the most effective.
I like how it was executed.
Yeah, it was executed beautifully.
Correct. I mean,
As far as like just like RPG, like single player RPGs, I think most of the Souls games
Yeah.
do a pretty good job.
Hell yeah.
They do.
Nail the ending. I mean, at least enough to make you want to like go back and start another playthrough. As far as like games like he's talking about, I think by the time you got to the Lost King expansion of the original Destiny, the end game was pretty robust there.
Yeah.
And that was pretty cool. And the raids got markedly better as they progressed on.
Some of my favorite like community moments in a game are in when I raided in WoW.
Yeah.
Like consistently.
I can
like
imagine.
the getting 20 people together and you're basically racing another group on your server to get to the end, the final boss, like get and kill him before the other. Like
Yeah.
that stuff was really
Endgame raids in
That
WoW
sounds
got
intense.
you really
crazy.
good.
Final Fantasy Tactics has a lot of optional stuff when you get to Chapter 4.
Yeah.
A lot of Final Fantasy games have a lot of
they do.
The end game stuff is really cool.
Just again, it goes against the spirit of the question, but since he brought up Red Dead Redemption, I would like to bring up a series that like when you get to the end of a Final Fantasy game and the story just kind of fucking ends.
It just
and you're like, I fell in love with the story, and you get a lot of people play JRPGs like I don't even want to finish this because I don't want to leave this world.
Yeah.
The Lunar games do a really great job of giving you this amazing epilogue where you can fucking say goodbye to your character. I mean, there's even Eternal Blue has hours after you beat the final boss of just kind of wrapping up these stories of these characters that you really fell in love with. So the Lunar series, if you want good story conclusions, end games, epilogues, play those games. They're not on PSN though.
Well, I mean, it's kind of late now. Whatever. Let's just go with it.
You know how the worst in-game content? You brought up Final Fantasy 8. Because when you get to the final disc of Final Fantasy 8, they lock you out of every fucking city in the game. Mm-hmm. There's literally like a barrier, a visible barrier around every city, and you can't get into it. It's so dumb.
All right, let's move on. Zerby asks, I never personally got a chance to play the original Ni no Kuni, but seeing 2 come out on PC made me interested, and then the absolute change of the combat system made me a bit disinterested then. Have you had this feeling in a franchise either changing a key system or entire genres? Are there any other franchises you would like to change into different genres? Any other games?
Hey, on the topic of Ni no Kuni, what are the chances that you think they release a hard mode patch?
Highly doubt it.
Because I really don't want to play an easy game. I hear everyone
I don't think that's their. I don't think they're interested in that.
I agree.
Be totally honest.
RPGs do that.
I know. I just don't think that was their goal when they set out to make this game. I mean, maybe they'll patch it in later, but I don't think that's high on their priority list. I could be totally wrong. I'm sorry. I don't know if people are actually picking up.
It might be you.
But there's nothing on
here. Hold on, let's mute Nick's mic for a minute, and we'll see if it goes away.
We're almost done.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just going to mute Nick for a second. Hold on. So what was this question again? So if franchise is kind of changing how the game works, I don't think that happens too often. But one of my first thoughts was the original Mass Effect.
Yeah, Mass Effect and Dragon Age both.
Yeah, both of those
changed crazy.
The sequels in those games and thereby the franchise going on definitely had a huge change in some of the aspects. I would say Mass Effect got a little less RPG going from 1 to 2, and that was kind of a frustrating thing for me. I really wish they would have tried to fix the problems instead of just trashing them.
Front Mission went from a strategy RPG like Final Fantasy Tactics to a mech shooter. That was bad.
The Fire Emblem, the first couple games that came out in the US, before the 3DS ones, were very succinct, and you went from chapter to chapter, and you didn't have a lot of stuff in between to distract you or bum you out kind of. I fell off of Fate super hard because
too much bullshit.
The stuff you did in
all
between.
The castle stuff. Yeah. I was originally excied. I thought that stuff was going to be good, but it was bad.
The core gameplay of Fates is exactly the same as any other Fire Emblem, but coming from playing Sacred Stones or the original Fire Emblem that came out, or even the GameCube and the Wii ones, those are really good games in comparison.
I agree with you, man. We should have this guy on more.
Can I have my mic back?
It's on.
Darksiders 2.
Ooh, that's a good
versus 1 is a big change.
It's like a fucking Zelda game.
I would also say the
1 is a Zelda game.
The first Prey into Prey 2.
Diablo kind of
Prey 2 never happened. So that was a pretty big difference.
For what?
Prey 2.
Oh yeah.
Very different from the first game. It never released.
Yeah.
It would have been different.
Tomb Raider.
It's funny. I mean, Prey and Prey.
Well, yeah, those are very different. Yeah.
Tomb Raider.
Resident Evil. StarCraft.
Tomb Raider.
Yeah. All right, we got to move. We got more questions.
Tomb Raider, Brad. Tomb Raider.
Zero Skies ask, "What is the fanciest dish?"
Resident Evil is a big one.
Yeah, Chris Davis said that.
Oh.
What is the fanciest dish you can cook up without instructions? Any tips you have for making it? A good steak, pasta, soup? Yes, I was hungry typing this.
I don't know. My go-to recipe that I always make from memory is it's like a chicken curry, like tomato-based chicken curry with celery and bell peppers over rice.
I make a pretty mean beef Wellington from memory.
Fuck you.
SOS.
I will say that a steak is something that one of my go-to dishes is I'll do a steak, a ribeye, with some fingerling potatoes and usually some asparagus that I put with some oil and a little bit of panko breadcrumbs with some Parmesan and bake those. And that little meal combo right there is my go-to. I don't need a recipe for. I will say for steaks, there's many ways to cook them. I've kind of become a fan of the reverse sear.
Reverse searing it,
where you if you don't have a grill, but you bake it in the oven until it comes to an internal temperature of whatever you desire, maybe a couple of degrees below, because afterwards you take it out and then you do a really, really, really fucking hot sear on the stove with a cast iron skillet, just like literally like 30 seconds each side to just get that nice fond, that crisp going on the outside.
I throw a shit ton of butter and garlic in the pan too.
Some garlic, butter, rosemary, baste it real quick with that butter.
I'm hungry. The best steak in the world method that was like really popular on YouTube a couple years ago.
What's that?
I mean, it was basic. It was just that. I don't even think they oven roasted it, but they just fry it on the pan. But you get like one of those big steaks that has like the big strip of fat on the side, and you render that off, and you use the butter and garlic and thyme and.
I love steak.
But SOS shit on shingles.
Shit on shingles.
I can do that one from memory.
What is that?
Shit on shingles.
It's chipped beef and gravy on biscuits.
Interesting.
It's not fancy at all.
A nice grilled cheese.
Yeah.
All right. And Brad, did you have anything? Hot Pockets?
Beef Wellington.
Oh, Beef Wellington. Okay. Moving on, Alex asks, what would be a good strategy to reviewing long development cycle games? What would be requirements to give a fair review? Would a game like No Man's Sky or Sea of Thieves require a long-term review to give time for enough content to be added?
I think
that's tough.
I think we already do that.
I've been seeing a lot of
review sites do review like MMOs completely differently than they do. They do like initial impressions, and then they go back 6 months later and do another follow up on it.
And not even MMOs, like any of these longer term games. They do that.
Sure, but there's already a precedent for those kind of review cycles.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
it's just more about keeping on top of big updates.
Yeah, I mean, I think the important thing is just kind of keeping up with it and returning to it, and making sure that people who are like when an update is made, that the audience that plays the game knows about it and keeping them updated. But like, you can't really talk about that without getting into a deeper discussion about like the necessity of we've had many debates here about whether or not reviews are necessary, or at least reviews in their current state are really relevant anymore. And like there's a discussion to be had there too, I suppose, when you're talking about doing multiple reviews for the same game,
but not right now.
I mean,
but not right now.
You could say the same thing about like a game that's a 60-hour game, and the person that reviewed it only played it for like 10, or even 5, and the real game like.
I mean, honestly, like you start getting into situations with like, I'm not saying this is necessarily the case with Far Cry 5, but I feel like a lot of people played Far Cry 5, and there's always that rush to like get through it to review it. When I feel like the best way to experience that game is to take your time with it. And
I mean, you could say the same thing about any review. I mean, most reviewers like kind of rush through a game just because they're on a schedule. They got other games to play and stuff like that.
That's why I'm glad we don't really do reviews.
It's more of a time commitment to review a game than it is, say, a movie or something.
It is pretty intense, yeah. And I don't know. I think that's tough. I mean, it's one of those situations where, for me personally, most of those games I'm not going to go back and play like over the course of time, just because I feel like there's other games I want to play. Like,
you know what else I think would help specifically for those kind of games and for reviewing in general? Do away with review scores.
Yeah, that helps.
I think if we had a system that didn't rely on numeric scores, that it wouldn't seem so weird to review these like long development cycle games, because you can give this game after 60 hours a 5 or whatever, but this game you played 100 hours but it's not complete, so you can't give it like that. Just creates this weird cognitive dissonance in
just talk about the game,
like
give your thoughts on the game. Don't worry about the numeric value of whatever your opinions are.
Numeric values in general should go.
Let's move on. Sir Thomas Thipple asks, fuck, marry, kill.
Oh no.
Samus, Master Chief, or Sam Gideon from Vanquish.
Wait.
They never take off their armor.
But
Samus canonically also wears the Zero suit.
But we're not talking about the Zero suit.
Not Zero suit Samus.
It's kind of armor.
I mean, Sam Gideon, his suit can like
The face opens up or whatever.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
fuck him. And then
Because he has
kill
a-
Master Chief because he sucks, and then marry Samus.
Totally,
Yeah.
completely
Mary
on board
Samus
with
for
that. That was
sure.
the one I was gonna say.
I'd
Master
say
Chief doesn't suck.
He sucks.
He doesn't suck.
No, he sucks.
He
okay,
kinda
he
sucks.
doesn't.
You were young. It's okay.
He doesn't suck.
Crispy, if he sucked a little more, maybe I'd fuck him.
Oh my god, that's
Big
crass. Jesus.
Blind Chief
Holy
can
shit.
be killed.
Holy shit.
Goku can take out Master Chief. He
The-
sucks.
I don't know who Sam Gideon is, so
He's from Vanquish.
Man, I
never
said
played
something.
Vanquish.
I said something like that the other day. I was sitting there with Robin. We were watching something, and then I made some comment like you just said, and I was like, "I'm so sorry. I just said that." I felt like I was sitting next to like Nolan or
That's
Joel or
that's a
something, and I
joke.
said
Oh,
that. I was
okay.
like, "Oh,"
Yeah.
and she's
Poor
like, and
taste.
she looked on her face like, "Wow."
Yeah.
I was like, "Yeah, I don't know where that came from."
Oh my god, SMG,
Oh,
that's ridiculous.
That's
Wait,
true.
whoa.
SMG, she could do that.
SMG says, Samus transform into a ball, then go up your butt and morph back into normal. Jesus.
Best
would
way
just-
to die.
That would just like
Yeah.
Best word.
you would just explode. That's
Man.
that's brutal. But like, she can't roll up into a tiny ball and then
Yeah,
unroll
she's
into
pretty
a
big
huge
when she's
human.
in the ball.
She's still pretty big, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta have a nice big gaping, right?
Yep.
Some nice ass cheeks.
Yep.
I don't think your pelvis is,
Is this
big
a nice
enough
ass
for that.
cheeks show?
It could be. The problem was that comment was before the show started.
Oh no!
Yeah,
really?
Brad ruined it. Yeah.
Sorry.
Damn.
Samus Anal Beach show?
Stop it. All right.
No, I'm going to go with the Master Chief Sucks show.
No. All right, let's move on. SMG says, I don't wish to bring back up a shitty conversation.
Wonderful.
All right.
And that's
But
it. Moving
but
on.
I'm going
Next
to anyway.
Yeah. But this may the only opportunity we have to get an answer out of Ed on this.
Oh, jeez.
It's all you.
Ed.
Yeah.
Does he mean a literal shitty conversation?
Yes.
No.
Oh.
Ed,
No.
do you stand with Crispy and Nick?
No. We're not returning to this. We're not doing this again.
He just wants to know Ed's opinion.
Okay.
Ed just has to give one word answer. Do you stand with Crispy or Nick? Or do you sit with Nolan and Chris?
And Brad.
Reference to the Great Wiping Debate of
Yeah.
2017.
Hmm.
One word answer.
Stand. Usually.
Yes.
Today?
The
We're all
wrong
tied
answer,
up
though.
and
Yes!
having fun.
Oh, we are now tied.
I let the
wrong
water
with you
shoot
people?
at my ass.
All right, moving on. Jero's asked, pick a movie, Mars Attacks or Evolution?
Mars Attacks.
Mars Attacks.
Mars Attacks. Yeah.
Neither.
Evolution's fine, but Mars Attacks actually kind of funny.
I'm going to go with neither.
Wait, so it's only those two options? Mars
yeah,
Attacks?
just if you had to choose one.
Yeah, Mars Attacks.
Mars Attacks.
Evolution's actually probably
Evolution's
good.
not
It's
bad.
been years.
It's been a while
I've
since
seen
I've seen David Duchovny.
that.
and,
The movie
like, there,
probably sucks.
there were some people. there were some-
Orlando Jones.
Yeah.
What happened to him?
Oh my.
Who?
Mad TV.
Oh, right?
Okay, what about Phil Lamar? He was an extra in Spider-Man 2.
Phil Lamar has an
forgot about
incredibly robust voice.
I
acting
know. But he was still an extra in Spider-Man
That
2.
means I sound like
Yeah.
a hybrid.
How does that
What's up?
happen?
Someone
No,
chat said
Ed,
I
it
sound like
means
a
you
hybrid.
should
That's in a
stand
lot
up
of
and
bad
get out.
places.
That's a
Oh.
bad agent.
No, I bet he was friends
Hey.
with somebody. who worked
Don't let them bully you.
That was
All right.
aggressive.
Well, that's it. I'm just kidding.
Who want to be in a Spider-Man?
All right, let's
All right.
cut the thank you
Yeah.
all our patrons for all the questions this week. We appreciate
All
them.
of our lovely questions.
Once again, every week we post a thread on Patreon where any patron who donates $1 or more can ask us any question they want. We have
Even that one.
pretty
Even that one.
wide variety of questions this week. So we appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for your questions. Patreon.com/4players, where you can find out more about our Patreon campaign. We appreciate anyone and everyone's support, no matter how small.
Yeah, Mars Attacks. Like, buy a country now.
Crispy.
It's like Crispy's like, I'm still on this question. All right, it's time to wrap up the show as we always do with the 4-player minute.
I thought
That
we were
was
just
the
gonna
oh shit,
end.
Brad forgot
I thought
about
we were
this.
just going to end.
No.
Okay, I'll
wait till
go.
everyone
I'm
stops
fucking ready. I'm
Brad
fucking
is,
ready.
Brad is starting us
Fuck
off.
it.
What's the 4-player minute?
4-player minute. Ed, do you know how this works? All right, cool. See, Ed knows how this works. Brad doesn't.
Don't make me go first, though.
Yeah. Hype, sweat, thank you, fuck you, or any combination of those. You can do more than one if you'd like. Brad,
Yeah.
take it away.
My hype is for the dope games that are coming out this month, such
Oh,
as
perfect.
Yakuza, 6 and God of War, both of which I'm very excited to play.
Oh, God of War looks so good.
Yep.
And others, My sweat is for the fact that, I built my PC over a year ago so I can play Mountain Blade Bannerlord well, and that's still not a thing that's out. Yeah. My fuck you goes to Nintendo. Nintendo for...
Brad, you're talking a little quiet.
Oh, my fuck you goes to Nintendo for still not doing anything with Advance Wars for so long. If this new Smash Brothers game comes out, even if it's a port with new characters, like Splatoon characters, if you still don't have any Advance Wars representation, fuck you. Fuck you so hard. God damn it. What the fuck? It goes back to the original Famicom. That made Nintendo. Okay. And my thank you goes to Ed. Thank you.
I like how he looks around the room like, can I thank anybody in the room? And then he's like, oh, wait, Ed, yeah, thanks for being here.
Thanks, Ed. Thanks for being here, man.
It's not a very gracious person.
Yeah,
He's not.
He never has been.
No.
That's okay.
All right. Thank you, Brad. Nolan?
My 4-player minute starts now. My hype is for Isle of Dogs. I'm pretty excited to see that. I'm hoping to see it this weekend with Bernadette. I'm looking forward to it. Everyone who I've talked to have seen it has said it's great. My hype is for... I just got a new gaming monitor. I got a Dell gaming monitor, 1440p. Got that G-Sync, 144 hertz. I was playing some Far Cry on it. It's fucking beautiful.
You should pop in Doom. See what that 144.
That'd be good. Yeah,
because it'll hit 144.
It's not 4K Slade. My TV is 4K. But it's only 60 hertz, so I mean, I gotta kind of go between the two. I did play some Far Cry in 4K on my TV, and it does look good though. Mm-hmm. My fuck you is gonna go to all the fucking enemies in Far Cry. Like, just fuck off. Like, come on, let me enjoy the fucking game for like 5 minutes.
Let me enjoy the beautiful outdoors for 5... here comes another cultist.
Yep. Fuck those guys. And then my thank you is going to go to all the community members. I don't know, there's like 6 or 7 of them that over the weekend I played Sea of Thieves with. Thank you for helping me have a good time. I think, honestly, if I would have just jumped in that with some random people, it probably would not have been as fun.
Hey, Nolan, are any of them in chat?
Yes, I've seen a few.
Oh my god,
Mr. Green Toast, Wendy was here earlier, Zerby, a couple other people. I have a horrible memory.
Brad's gone
Eric,
full on.
No, I didn't. I played Eric with Eric played Far Cry with me. But anyway, so yeah, thanks to everyone who played Sea of Thieves with me. You made the experience better than it probably would have been.
Cool. Thank you, Noel. I'll go last. Ed, are you ready?
I think so.
Cool.
Probably. So my hype is for both God of War 4, coming out.
Is it
4?
No.
5?
I mean, technically
7.
it's a new... I mean,
No,
a lot of people
technically
forget
8.
about Ascension.
Yeah.
God of War.
There you go.
There we go.
And then
Also, the two on PSP
also,
were canonical.
4 days after that, Frostpunk comes out, which is by the people that made This War of Mine.
Oh,
It's like a steampunk
weird
city
game,
builder
though, right?
game. Yeah,
For sure.
it's I played it at PAX and it was super fun. So I'm really into that. What's next?
Thank you and
Sweat.
fuck you.
You know, usually if you ever like run out of things to say or you can't think of which one is next, just pick 2 more things that you're hyped about.
Okay.
No,
That's
pick
that-
2 more things to fuck you.
Or
my
that.
my sweat is both Ni no Kuni 2 and Far Cry 5. I kind of want to play both of them, and both of those are going to be a huge time investment in that.
Ni no Kuni, I hear, is shorter than you might expect.
Okay.
Yeah, for an RPG, from what I hear, it's shorter than.
All right.
Yeah.
My whatever's next. Thank you is obviously to you guys for Nolan for hosting us and letting me be on the podcast. It was fun. And then my fuck you goes to Chris Davis.
Oh! Shots fired!
Fuck
You're
that
gonna
guy.
fit in good
Middle
around
finger
here.
on the screens. Look at that. There it is.
Yeah, that's
there
it.
it is. All right,
We
Crispy.
love you, Chris. My hype this week is twofold. I am
What's twofold?
folded twice. I am equally hyped for next week is the beginning of Overwatch's annual archive event. This one's called Retribution.
Wait, hold on. Did Brad just turn off the podcast?
And it's,
How did he do that?
and it's all about Blackwatch. It looks fucking dope. Can't wait. My other hype, a little farther out, is for Spider-Man.
That's a little bit farther, but I'm excited.
A
about
little
it, too.
farther out, all the way out in September. I know there's going to be other games
Between.
here and there, but
It's okay.
god damn.
It looks good.
That Spider-Man shit really got to me. My thank yous for this week are also folded twice. Firstly to Ed for coming all the way out to see us.
It's really far.
Come on out again sometime. And my other thank you goes to Scarecrow, who was the one that turned me on to the $20 Overwatch PC deal, which is the only reason why I have the game and I'm playing it right now on PC. So thank you, Scarecrow.
Cool. Thank you, Crispy. All right, I'll go next.
You okay, Brad?
I'll go next. My hype, I'm going to go with... I'm actually really hyped to play more Far Cry 5. The game's got its hooks in me pretty deep. As you know, Far Cry usually gets its hooks in me, so I'm very excited to play more. I started that game out not super thrilled about the map or like the world, but like the more I play it, the more I really enjoy like the setting they chose for it. Like Montana's just, it's really beautiful countryside. It's very very nice when I'm not being shot at a lot. I'll do another hype as well. Just like Crispy, I think Spider-Man is like I am. I went from 6 to midnight on Spider-Man. I'm like totally fucking ready for that game, especially now that they're already talking about costumes. So excited!
It would have been nice if it was 6 to midnight, but it's 16 to midnight.
Yeah, sorry.
That would have been good.
That would have been really nice.
You've always been midnight on Spider-Man.
I'm gonna go with third hype. A Quiet Place.
Oh, yeah,
Got tickets to see that on Tuesday. Very excited, hearing very good things about it. I'm just very, very excited to watch that. I can't wait. I'll probably talk about that a little bit at the beginning of next week's podcast. And my thank you, I have two thank yous. Two thank yous. One, of course, is to Ed. Thank you, Ed, for being on the show. We love having you here. This is great. Hopefully we can do this again sometime. And my other thank you goes to Joseph for joining me for an evening of Far Cry 5 last week on the stream. Had a ton of fun. We went bald eagle hunting. We had some great fucking moments during that playthrough, and I hope some of those things make it onto YouTube. Great fun. It's always a pleasure playing with Joseph. So, anyways.
Fuck Joseph.
Fuck Joseph. I'm just kidding. We love you. Anyways.
But remember the thing.
What?
Remember the thing.
Oh, yeah, that
Fuck
thing.
you,
Fuck you, Joseph. Oh, has anyone ever told him about that?
No.
Oh. We should tell him about that. Anyways, thank you guys. We're not going to tell the audience though.
He
I'm
almost
changing.
destroyed us?
Yeah.
I realized that I'm gonna change my fuck you to Brad for stealing the spotlight on my podcast premiere.
Yeah.
Hey, trust me, there's no spotlight over here.
Oh man, that's beautiful. All right. Anyways, thank you guys so much for listening. If you're new here or if you're watching for the first time, we'd love to have you in our Discord. You can find us at discord.gg/4player. You can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/4player. And you can find all of our podcasts over at 4playernetwork.com. Ed, thanks again for being here.
Yeah, if you're a fan of me personally, don't come back to the podcast because I won't be back next week.
He won't be back here next week, so you can go ahead and unsubscribe to us now. I'm just kidding. Please don't do that. Anyways, well, you'll probably catch Ed on future podcasts. They'll probably be like bonus podcasts and whatnot that we do in Discord and online and whatnot. But join us again next Thursday night for another episode. Brad, welcome back to the show. Brad will be back next week. Brad's back from hiatus. That's exciting. Anyways, thanks everybody for listening. We will catch you guys next week. Good night.
Bye.